Learning English can feel challenging, especially if you don't have the chance to live in an English-speaking country. You might know words and grammar, but using them naturally in daily life often feels intimidating. This audiobook is designed to change that. It will guide you step by step to speak, write, and think in English confidently, using practical methods you can apply right at home. You'll discover ways to practice speaking, improve pronunciation, expand vocabulary, and engage in real conversations without fear of mistakes. Every tip is focused on helping you grow, improve your confidence, and make English a natural part of your everyday life. By the end, you'll not only understand English better, you'll feel comfortable using it in real situations, connecting with people, and expressing yourself clearly. Stay with this guide, follow the strategies, and you'll see how English can open doors and make your daily life richer and more confident. Chapter 1. Practice speaking English daily in real conversations. When you decide to improve your English, the first and most important step is to bring the language into your daily life in the most natural way possible. You do not need to live in another country to do this. You do not need to wait for the perfect teacher, class, or environment. What you need is discipline, courage, and a commitment to use English in real conversations every single day. Speaking daily is the path to confidence, fluency, and growth. Every time you speak, you build a new layer of ability. Every sentence you say, no matter how simple or broken, is progress. This is why practicing English daily in real conversations is the first principle of true language mastery. At first, this sounds simple, but it requires strength. Many learners avoid speaking because they are afraid of mistakes, embarrassed about their accent, or worried that others will laugh. The truth is that these fears will only disappear when you take action despite them. Confidence does not arrive before practice. Confidence is built through practice. The more you speak, the less you care about mistakes. The less you care about mistakes, the more naturally you will speak. So the real secret is to start now, to practice speaking every single day, no matter how small the opportunity. When you wake up in the morning, you can immediately use English. Describe your surroundings aloud. Say, "I am opening the window," or "I am drinking water." Speak these simple sentences even when no one is around. Speaking out loud makes your brain work harder than silent thinking. It forces you to connect words with actions. It makes the language part of your life, not just part of your studies. By starting your day with even a few spoken sentences, you set your mind in English mode. This practice builds a habit. With time, your brain will switch to English more easily, and you will begin to think in the language without forcing yourself. In your daily life, you also meet opportunities for real conversations. Maybe you are ordering food, greeting a friend online, or asking a question in an online class. Instead of choosing your first language, make the brave choice to use English. Even if your words are not perfect, you are exercising the muscle of communication. Think about fitness. No one gets stronger by only reading about exercise. You get stronger by lifting, running, and moving your body. Language works the same way. You only grow when you use it in real situations, when the pressure is real, and when your brain must act quickly. Many learners believe they need a perfect partner or a native speaker to practice. This is not true. You can practice English daily with anyone willing to listen. A friend, a family member, or even another learner can be a valuable conversation partner. What matters is not perfection, but consistency. Every exchange, even 2 minutes, pushes you forward. Do not wait for the perfect moment. Create your own opportunities. Join free speaking groups online. Comment in English on posts or videos. Send voice messages instead of text. Small actions done every day have more power than waiting for big moments that may never come. One of the strongest barriers in speaking daily is fear of mistakes. Many people avoid speaking because they do not want to sound wrong. But here is a truth. Mistakes are the greatest teachers. Every mistake shows you where to improve. Every error is a signal of progress. Think about children learning their first language. They make hundreds of mistakes every day, but they keep speaking. No one expects them to be perfect. You should treat yourself the same way. Give yourself permission to be imperfect. Speak boldly, even with errors, and let those errors guide your learning. If you wait until you are perfect before speaking, you will never begin. Another key part of practicing daily conversations is listening carefully to yourself. When you speak, record your voice, play it back, and notice how you sound. At first you may not like it, but do not see this as weakness. See it as clarity. By listening, you discover your strengths and weaknesses. Maybe you mispronounce certain words. Maybe you speak too fast or too slow. Once you notice, you can improve. Without this awareness, you will keep repeating the same errors. Recording yourself turns every practice into a learning opportunity. Over time, you will notice your progress, and this will motivate you to continue. Consistency is the foundation of growth. Speaking English once a week is not enough. You need daily contact with the language. Even 5 or 10 minutes each day is powerful when repeated again and again. Consistency builds momentum. Your brain learns to expect English, to use it naturally, and to recall words faster. Without consistency, every practice feels like starting over. This is why daily practice matters more than long, rare sessions. Think of it as brushing your teeth. You do not brush once a week for an hour. You brush daily to keep them healthy. Treat your English the same way. When you begin practicing conversations daily, set clear goals. For example, decide that today you will introduce yourself in English 3 times. Tomorrow, you will describe your lunch in detail. The next day, you will ask a question in English to someone online. Small goals make practice specific and measurable. They also give you a sense of accomplishment. Without goals, you may feel lost or unsure of progress. With goals, every day becomes a step forward, and you build confidence with each achievement. Surround yourself with English as much as possible. If you cannot travel abroad, bring the world to you. Change your phone settings to English. Speak to voice assistants in English. Join live sessions online where people chat in English. Even if you feel shy, participate. Patience is also important. Fluency is not built in a week or a month. It is built over time through many small conversations, through many mistakes, and through consistent effort. Do not measure your progress by comparing yourself to others. Measure it by comparing yourself today with yourself a month ago. Are you speaking more often? Are you using more words? Are you less afraid of mistakes? If the answer is yes, you are on the right path. Growth is not about speed, but about persistence. Daily practice also strengthens your character. It teaches you discipline, resilience, and humility. Discipline, because you must practice even when you are busy. Resilience, because you must keep going despite mistakes or moments of embarrassment. Humility, because you must accept that learning takes time. These qualities go beyond English. They shape who you are. The strength you gain from practicing English daily will also help you in other areas of life. That is why language learning is not only about communication, but also about personal growth. Sometimes you will feel tired. Sometimes you will feel like you are not improving. This is normal. Progress is often invisible day by day. You may not notice small changes, but they are happening inside your brain. Words are connecting, patterns are forming, confidence is growing. One day, suddenly, you realize that speaking feels easier, that words come faster, that conversations flow more naturally. This is the reward of persistence. Trust the process and continue. To make your practice stronger, vary your conversations. Do not only practice introductions, talk about your hobbies, your plans, your opinions. Share stories, ask questions, give explanations. The more topics you cover, the more vocabulary you learn, and the more confident you become. Language is not only about repeating the same sentences, it is about expressing your thoughts, your emotions, your personality. Challenge yourself to talk about something new every day. Technology can also help you practice daily. Use apps that connect you with speakers around the world. Join video calls where learners meet to practice. Use social media platforms to comment or post in English. Even sending a short audio message to a group can be practice. Do not underestimate these small actions. They are real conversations, and they strengthen your ability to use English naturally. The useful exercise is to imagine you are teaching someone else. When you explain in English to another person, you force yourself to be clear. You may feel nervous, but teaching makes your knowledge deeper. You can start small. Explain how to cook a recipe, how to use an app, or how to complete a task. Even if no one is listening, pretend you are teaching. Speaking aloud in this way is a form of conversation, and it strengthens your ability to organize your thoughts. One of the greatest benefits of daily speaking is building confidence in social situations. At first, you may feel silent in group conversations, but as you practice, your voice grows stronger. You begin to contribute, even with short sentences. Then gradually you can share longer thoughts. Confidence is not built in silence, but in participation. Even when you say only a few words, you are breaking the barrier of fear. Every time you do this, you make the next time easier. Remember that language is not only about grammar. Many learners focus too much on rules and forget communication. Daily conversations train you to focus on meaning, not perfection. People understand you even if your grammar is not perfect. What matters most is clarity, effort, and confidence. By speaking daily, you train yourself to communicate directly, to express your ideas, and to connect with others. Grammar improves naturally over time, but communication skills must be practiced actively. Over time, daily practice transforms English from a subject you study into a tool you live with. It becomes part of your daily rhythm, part of your identity. You begin to think, feel, and express yourself in a new way. This transformation is powerful. It opens doors to friendships, opportunities, and self-expression that were closed before. It gives you freedom. And this freedom comes not from living abroad, but from practicing courageously where you are. The journey of practicing English daily in real conversations is not just about learning a language. It is about building discipline, overcoming fear, and shaping a stronger version of yourself. Every conversation is training your mind to be braver, clearer, and more capable. If you commit to this practice, you will not only improve your English, but also improve your life. The courage you develop in speaking daily will spill into other areas, helping you face challenges, build relationships, and grow with confidence. So begin today. Speak a few sentences aloud. Start a small conversation online. Ask a question in English. These actions may seem small, but repeated daily, they build a future where English is no longer a barrier, but a bridge. The discipline of practicing every day is the path to mastery. The wisdom is to understand that the path is long, but possible. The courage is to walk it step by step, conversation by conversation. And the reward is not only fluency, but also the growth of your character, your confidence, and your ability to connect with the world. Chapter 2. Build vocabulary through reading short English stories. When you want to grow your English vocabulary in a natural and effective way, Short stories are one of the most powerful tools you can use. Stories are more than words on a page. They bring language alive. They give you sentences, emotions, and situations where words are not just explained, but experienced. Reading short stories allows you to connect with English as it is actually used, not as a list of rules or definitions. The beauty of short stories is that they are not overwhelming. Unlike long novels, which may discourage you with hundreds of pages, short stories give you a complete experience in a smaller space. You can finish one in a single sitting, which creates a sense of progress and accomplishment. Each story gives you a set of new words in context, and by finishing it, you give your mind closure. This makes it easier to recall and apply the vocabulary later. The human brain remembers best when information is connected to beginnings and endings, and short stories naturally provide both. When you read, it is important not to rush. Your purpose is not only to reach the end, but to absorb the words that are new to you. Pay attention to how they are used. Notice if they describe a feeling, an action, or an object. Take note of the surrounding words, because they often give you clues about meaning. For example, if you come across the word whispered, you may not know it at first, but if the sentence describes a character leaning close and speaking quietly, you understand it naturally. This kind of learning is deeper than memorizing a dictionary definition because it is tied to an experience in the story. To strengthen your memory, keep a small notebook where you write down new words. Do not only write the meaning, write the full sentence from the story, and then create your own sentence with the same word. This way, you practice using it actively. Reading gives you recognition, but writing and speaking give you ownership. By putting the new word into your own sentence, you are telling your brain that this is not just a word you have seen, but a word you can use. With time, these words become part of your natural expression. Choose stories that interest you. If you love mysteries, find simple detective stories. If you enjoy romance, look for short love stories. If you like adventure, read about journeys and discoveries. Interest makes learning easier. When you are curious about what happens next, you pay more attention. You are not just studying, you are enjoying. This emotional connection is important because the brain remembers what it feels. Words linked to emotions stay longer than words learned in isolation. A list of vocabulary may fade quickly, but a word learned through a powerful scene in a story will stay with you for years. Another benefit of reading short stories is exposure to dialogue. Stories often include conversations between characters, and these dialogues show you how people speak in real situations. You see how questions are asked, how answers are given, and how sentences are connected. Dialogue is closer to spoken English than textbook examples. By reading it, you prepare yourself for real conversations. When you later speak with others, you will recognize the rhythm and flow of sentences you saw in stories. This makes your speech sound more natural and confident. Do not be afraid of repetition. If a story feels difficult, read it more than once. The first time, focus on understanding the general idea. The second time, pay attention to details and new words. The third time, try reading aloud. Reading aloud trains your tongue and ear at the same time. It makes you feel the language physically, not only mentally. Each repetition deepens your understanding and strengthens your memory. Soon, the words you once struggled with will feel familiar and comfortable. Technology can help you too. Many short stories are available with audio recordings. You can listen while you read, which doubles the impact. Your eyes and ears work together, giving your brain a stronger signal. Listening helps you catch pronunciation, stress, and intonation. Reading helps you see spelling and grammar. Together they form a complete learning experience. If you cannot find audio for a story, you can record yourself reading it. Then listen later and notice how you sound. This makes you both a learner and your own teacher. As you progress, challenge yourself to retell the stories in your own words. After finishing a story, close the book and explain what happened out loud. Do not worry if you forget details. Focus on using the new words you have learned. Retelling strengthens memory, improves speaking, and builds confidence. It transforms passive vocabulary into active vocabulary. When you can explain a story in English, you are proving to yourself that you are not just reading, but truly absorbing. Reading short stories daily creates a rhythm. It trains your mind to expect new vocabulary, to search for meaning, and to stay alert. If you make it a habit, even 10 minutes a day, you will see results. The power lies in daily practice, not occasional effort. One story a week is good, but a few pages every day are better. With this consistency, your vocabulary will grow steadily, and you will feel the difference in both reading and speaking. There is also a psychological benefit. Each time you complete a story, you feel a small victory. These victories build motivation. They remind you that learning is possible, that progress is real, and that you are capable of more than you thought. In difficult moments, these small victories keep you going. They show you that even if fluency feels far away, every story read is one step closer. Growth happens quietly, but it is happening every time you open a story and meet new words. The wisdom of this practice is simple. Do not treat vocabulary as lifeless information. Treat it as part of living stories. Words are not only sounds or letters, they are tools for expression, for connection, for understanding the world. By reading stories, you train yourself to see words in action. You prepare for real conversations because stories imitate real life. And in doing so, you are not only learning English, but also shaping patience, discipline, and focus. When you read daily, you are training more than language. You are training your ability to sit with a text, to stay focused, to learn step by step. These are qualities of a strong mind. They help not only in language, but in all areas of life. Reading builds attention, memory, and resilience. These qualities will serve you in challenges far beyond English. Every new word is a chance to grow, not only in language, but in self-discipline. When you choose to read instead of avoiding effort, you strengthen your will. When you face a difficult passage and continue until the end, you strengthen your resilience. When you return to the story the next day with curiosity, you strengthen your persistence. Through this practice, you are not only building vocabulary, but also shaping the kind of person who does not give up easily. This is why reading short English stories daily is not just about words. It is about building a better version of yourself. Each page, each new word, each completed story is proof that you are committed to growth. You are training your mind to focus, your memory to hold, and your courage to apply what you learn in real life. The language you gain becomes a reflection of the discipline you practice. The effort you put into reading today will echo in your conversations tomorrow, in your confidence next year, and in your opportunities for the rest of your life. Chapter 3. Listen to English podcasts and repeat aloud daily. Listening to English podcasts and repeating aloud daily is one of the most practical ways to accelerate your language learning while training both your ears and your voice simultaneously. Unlike reading or memorizing lists of words, listening exposes you to real-life speech patterns, natural pronunciation, and authentic rhythm. Podcasts offer a unique advantage because they are created by native speakers who communicate naturally, showing how words are used in context, how sentences flow, and how ideas are connected logically. When you actively listen, you are not just hearing English, you are training your brain to recognize meaning, tone, and intention. Repeating aloud takes this practice to a new level because it engages your muscles for speaking, your memory for recalling words, and your focus for producing accurate sounds. This combination transforms passive listening into active learning. The first step is to select podcasts that match your current level of understanding. It is important not to overwhelm yourself with content that is too advanced. Begin with topics that interest you, whether it is technology, personal growth, science, or storytelling. Interest motivates attention, and attention strengthens retention. When you care about the topic, you listen more carefully, notice details, and are more willing to repeat sentences aloud. Over time, you can gradually increase the difficulty of the podcasts, which expands both your vocabulary and comprehension. Listening without repeating is not enough. To truly benefit, you must imitate the speakers. Pause after each sentence or phrase, and repeat it exactly as you heard it. Focus on pronunciation, intonation, and pacing. Notice how native speakers stress certain words and how their tone changes depending on the meaning. By repeating aloud, you reinforce muscle memory for speaking. This practice trains your mouth, lips, and tongue to produce unfamiliar sounds, which is essential for developing clarity and fluency. When you do this consistently, English starts to feel less foreign and more natural. Repetition also improves memory retention. When you repeat what you hear, your brain creates stronger neural connections between words, meanings, and sounds. It is no longer just recognition in your mind. It becomes active recall that you can use in your own conversations. This process makes vocabulary and sentence structures easier to retrieve spontaneously. Over time, you will notice that phrases you repeated multiple times begin to come to mind naturally when you speak, without conscious effort. This is the power of daily practice. It is essential to maintain focus while listening. Many learners play podcasts in the background and expect improvement without full attention. Passive listening has value, but maximum results come from engaged listening. Set aside dedicated time each day to listen attentively. Close your eyes, focus on the speaker, and mentally follow the sentences. When you repeat aloud immediately afterward, your brain integrates what you have heard and transforms it into usable language. Daily commitment, even for 15 to 20 minutes, compounds into significant improvement over weeks and months. Choosing diverse podcasts enhances learning further. Some episodes may focus on casual conversations, others on professional discussions, and others on storytelling. Listening to different formats trains your brain to understand multiple styles and registers of English. Casual conversations teach informal expressions and everyday phrases. Professional discussions introduce technical vocabulary and formal structures. Stories enhance comprehension and expose you to descriptive language. By combining these, you create a well-rounded understanding of English as it is used in multiple contexts. To increase effectiveness, take notes while listening. Jot down new words, phrases, or expressions. Write how they are used in sentences and include the tone or context. Later, practice these notes aloud. Writing reinforces memory, while speaking transforms recognition into active use. This creates a feedback loop where listening, understanding, writing, and speaking strengthen each other. Over time, these habits cultivate a strong command of the language, and the words and phrases you encounter become part of your natural communication. Another method is shadowing, which involves speaking simultaneously with the speaker, matching their pace and tone as closely as possible. This advanced technique accelerates fluency and sharpens listening skills. Shadowing requires intense focus and practice, but it closely mimics real-life conversation. By shadowing daily, you internalize rhythm, pronunciation, and expression, making your own speaking more confident and natural. It bridges the gap between understanding English and producing it spontaneously. Listening aloud also builds self-confidence. Many learners hesitate to speak because they doubt their pronunciation or fear making mistakes. By repeating podcasts aloud, you practice without judgment. The private repetition allows experimentation with sounds, rhythms, and words. Gradually, this practice transfers to real conversations. Confidence grows because your mouth and brain have already rehearsed language in a safe environment. This reduces fear and hesitation in live communication. Consistency is critical. Improvement comes from daily engagement, not occasional effort. Listening and repeating every day creates a routine that signals your brain to expect English. This routine strengthens habits, encourages persistence, and ensures incremental progress. Even short daily sessions are more effective than longer, but infrequent attempts. The cumulative effect of small daily actions leads to mastery over time. Focus on comprehension, not just mimicry. When repeating aloud, ensure you understand what you are saying. Stop occasionally to reflect on meaning. Break down sentences to understand how words connect. Ask yourself why certain phrases are used in context. This analysis deepens understanding, making it easier to apply language accurately in your own sentences. Comprehension plus repetition creates a powerful learning cycle that leads to both fluency and clarity. Another powerful strategy is to summarize episodes in your own words aloud. After listening, explain the content as if teaching someone else. This forces active recall, reinforces vocabulary, and practices sentence construction. Explaining content aloud strengthens both speaking skills and cognitive understanding. It also trains you to express ideas clearly and confidently, which is the ultimate goal of language use. Record your own repetitions for review. Listening to yourself highlights strengths and areas for improvement. Notice pronunciation, stress patterns, and natural pauses. Over time, you will identify subtle mistakes and adjust. Recording creates an additional feedback mechanism that accelerates growth. By evaluating yourself regularly, you maintain control over your learning process and refine your skills continuously. Use repetition to connect phrases with emotions. When podcasts include storytelling or personal experiences, match the speaker's emotion when repeating aloud. This trains you not only in words, but also in expressive language. Speaking with feeling enhances communication because people respond to tone and expression as much as content. Emotional repetition embeds vocabulary and sentence structures deeper into memory. Set small, measurable goals for your daily practice. For example, repeat 10 sentences aloud today, shadow an entire 5-minute segment tomorrow, or summarize an episode in 3 sentences. Goals give direction, create a sense of achievement, and maintain motivation. Without goals, practice may become unfocused. Clear objectives turn listening into meaningful and actionable effort. Over time, daily podcast practice transforms comprehension, pronunciation, and confidence. Words stop feeling foreign, sentences flow more naturally, and understanding becomes immediate. Daily repetition builds a habit that embeds English into your life. Eventually, speaking spontaneously in conversations will feel like an extension of this daily routine. Your voice will carry fluency, clarity, and expression that comes directly from consistent practice. Listening to podcasts and repeating aloud is not only about language, it is about discipline, resilience, and self-improvement. It trains focus, persistence, and courage. Each day you engage in this practice, you prove to yourself that progress is possible through consistent action. You learn to face challenges, embrace mistakes, and commit to improvement. This habit strengthens character and opens doors beyond language, impacting confidence, communication, and personal growth. By integrating this practice into daily life, even without access to native speakers in person, you create a learning environment that is immersive and effective. You control the pace, choose content that motivates you, and practice safely. The combination of listening, repeating, shadowing, summarizing, and recording transforms English into a living skill, ready to be applied in conversations, professional settings, and personal interactions. The path is simple but requires effort. Choose your podcasts, set aside daily time, listen actively, repeat aloud, analyze meaning, and reflect on progress. Each small step compounds, turning consistent effort into measurable improvement. The voice you develop through this practice is not just speaking, it is confidence, competence, and clarity. Daily podcast repetition becomes a bridge, connecting your current abilities to the level of fluency and self-assurance you desire. This practice is transformative because it combines perception, cognition, and action. You listen, you process, and you produce language. You train memory, pronunciation, and understanding simultaneously. You also cultivate discipline, patience, and resilience. Over weeks and months, small daily sessions accumulate into a profound change. English becomes not just words to study, but a skill that is alive in your mind, voice, and life. Daily commitment to listening and repeating builds a foundation that supports every other aspect of English learning. Vocabulary expands naturally, pronunciation improves steadily, fluency increases, and comprehension deepens. Most importantly, your confidence grows because you are actively shaping your abilities rather than waiting for circumstances to create opportunities. You gain control, mastery, and the tangible experience of progress every single day. This practice transforms English learning from a distant goal into a daily reality. Listening attentively, repeating aloud consistently, analyzing meaning, recording progress, and summarizing aloud create a cycle of active learning that is both practical and powerful. The voice you develop through daily repetition becomes a reflection of your dedication, discipline, and persistence. You are building fluency, yes, but also resilience, focus, and self-assurance. These qualities make English not just a skill, but a tool for personal growth and lifelong improvement. Chapter 4. Join online groups to chat in English. Engaging with online groups to chat in English is one of the most effective ways to develop both language skills and social confidence without leaving your home. When you join a community of learners or speakers, you create a space where interaction is not only possible, but expected. Unlike studying alone, these groups provide immediate opportunities to practice real conversations, ask questions, and receive feedback. Every message you write and every sentence you type or speak contributes to your growth. Active participation transforms English from a theoretical skill into a living, usable tool. The more you interact, the more natural English becomes in your daily life. Choosing the right online group is crucial for maintaining motivation. Look for communities that match your level and interests. Some groups focus on casual conversation, some on professional topics, and others on specific learning strategies. Find a space where you feel comfortable yet challenged. Comfort allows you to participate without fear, while challenge stretches your skills and pushes you to improve. The key is to find a balance that keeps you engaged consistently. Consistency is what transforms short-term participation into lasting language improvement. Once you join, start by observing the dynamics. Read the conversations, notice how members interact, and see the kinds of questions asked. This initial observation is important because it provides context. You begin to understand common expressions, greetings, and conversational patterns, then gradually start contributing. Even a simple hello or short response counts as progress. Many learners wait for the perfect sentence, but real learning happens through imperfect participation. Every effort you make builds fluency and confidence. Interaction in online groups also exposes you to a wide range of vocabulary and expressions. Different members write in different styles, use varied words, and present ideas uniquely. Paying attention to these differences allows you to expand your own vocabulary and incorporate new structures into your speech. You can learn informal phrases, idiomatic expressions, and professional terminology all in one environment. Exposure to diverse language inputs is a powerful advantage that only interactive communities can provide. Active engagement is the next step. Do not just reply with short sentences. Ask questions, share experiences, and describe your thoughts. The more you contribute, the more practice you get. This process builds confidence because you are exercising creativity and critical thinking in English. It is not enough to read or listen. Real progress comes from expressing your own ideas, forming sentences independently, and participating actively in discussions. The more you practice, the faster your fluency develops. Using video and voice chat within groups enhances learning even further. Speaking directly with others in real time trains pronunciation, timing, and intonation. It also teaches you to respond quickly, which is critical for conversation. Many learners struggle with spontaneous speech because they are used to rehearsed sentences. Online groups give a safe environment to practice unplanned dialogue. Each conversation, no matter how brief, strengthens your ability to communicate effectively under pressure. Feedback from group members is invaluable. Constructive correction helps you identify mistakes and refine your language. When someone points out an error or suggests an alternative way to express an idea, take it as an opportunity to improve. This feedback loop accelerates learning because it transforms passive observation into active adjustment. By implementing corrections immediately, you prevent mistakes from becoming habits and increase the accuracy of your speech. Participating daily, even for short periods, creates a habit of communication. Writing or speaking regularly in English strengthens both memory and language recall. Your brain becomes accustomed to producing English sentences, recognizing patterns, and responding appropriately. Daily engagement also helps overcome hesitation because repeated exposure builds familiarity and reduces anxiety. What once felt intimidating becomes routine and manageable. Joining different groups exposes you to multiple perspectives and contexts. You can interact with people from different countries, professions, and age groups. This diversity enriches your understanding of English because you see how the language adapts to different situations. You learn to navigate formal, informal, and technical communication. You also develop cultural awareness, which is an essential part of real-world communication. Understanding nuances in language enhances both your fluency and your ability to connect with others meaningfully. Group interactions also teach listening skills. When you read or hear others' contributions, you practice understanding context, tone, and intention. Effective communication is not only about speaking, it is also about comprehending what others are saying. By paying attention to details in conversations, you improve your ability to respond accurately and thoughtfully. Listening and responding in real time develops both comprehension and adaptability. Creating a schedule for participation ensures consistency. Decide on a daily or weekly routine to interact with the group. Even a few minutes each day can yield significant results when done consistently. Scheduling builds discipline and prevents procrastination. It transforms English from an occasional activity into an integrated part of your daily life. Over time, the habit of regular interaction becomes automatic, and your language skills grow naturally. Do not fear mistakes or judgment. Every member of a learning group understands that errors are part of the process. What matters most is participation and improvement. By contributing without fear, you train resilience, persistence, and adaptability. The courage to express yourself despite imperfection is a skill that extends beyond language, benefiting personal growth and confidence in all areas of life. Taking initiative is key. Do not wait for others to start conversations. Ask questions, introduce topics, or share content. Initiating interaction strengthens leadership and communication skills while providing additional practice. By creating dialogue, you gain more opportunities to practice new vocabulary, test grammar, and refine pronunciation. Leadership in conversations accelerates learning because it requires active thinking, creativity, and real-time language production. You can also use written chat as a tool to practice sentence construction and grammar. Take your time to write carefully, check your sentences, and revise when needed. Writing in English improves structure, clarity, and vocabulary usage. When combined with oral conversation, writing strengthens comprehensive language skills. The written form reinforces what you say aloud, and speaking aloud reinforces what you write. The combination produces faster, deeper improvement. Engaging with online groups teaches adaptability. Conversations are unpredictable, topics vary, and responses may not always match your expectations. This environment trains your ability to think quickly, choose words carefully, and adjust your language in real time. Adapting to unexpected situations develops both fluency and problem-solving skills. Over time, you become more comfortable navigating conversations of any type with ease and composure. Finally, view participation in online groups as a long-term investment. The benefits compound over months and years. Each conversation improves fluency, vocabulary, confidence, and understanding of real-life English. The habit of active engagement strengthens discipline, resilience, and interpersonal skills. By committing to daily interaction, you are not only improving English, but also cultivating a mindset of growth, persistence, and self-improvement. The combination of observation, active participation, repetition, feedback, and consistency creates an environment where English becomes a natural part of life. Daily participation transforms your relationship with English. It becomes interactive, dynamic, and personal. Words evolve from abstract concepts into tools for expression. Every question you ask, every response you write, every conversation you speak shapes your fluency. Over time, this practice strengthens both your language and your character, demonstrating that improvement comes from consistent action, courage, and commitment to growth. Chapter 5. Record your voice, speaking English, and review it. Recording your voice, speaking English, and reviewing it is one of the most effective strategies for improving fluency, pronunciation, and confidence. Hearing yourself objectively allows you to notice patterns, identify mistakes, and track progress over time. Many learners struggle to recognize their own errors because speaking and listening happen simultaneously in real life. Recording creates a pause, a moment of reflection where you can analyze your strengths and weaknesses. By making this a daily habit, you take control of your learning process and accelerate improvement in ways that passive practice cannot achieve. Begin by choosing short, manageable segments to record. You can read aloud from a story, summarize a podcast episode, or talk about your day. The purpose is not to create perfect speech, but to practice deliberate articulation. Focus on clarity, pace, and expression. When you record, pay attention to how each word sounds, how sentences flow, and how your tone changes. Listening later provides a new perspective because your brain separates production from perception, allowing you to hear nuances you might miss while speaking. After recording, play back your audio slowly and carefully. Notice any words that sound unclear or mispronounced. Highlight sentences that feel awkward or rushed. Identify specific areas where improvement is needed, rather than trying to fix everything at once. Targeted correction is more effective than generalized effort. This process also reinforces memory because you connect hearing, evaluation, and self-correction in one cycle. Recording allows you to track progress over time. If you keep a series of recordings from week to week, you will hear noticeable improvements that may not be visible in day-to-day speaking. These recordings serve as evidence of growth, motivating you to continue. Listening to earlier recordings can also remind you of common mistakes that you have successfully corrected, reinforcing positive habits and preventing regression. This feedback loop is one of the most tangible ways to measure your development. Using recordings helps you refine pronunciation and intonation. Many learners struggle with stress, rhythm, and accent. By hearing your voice, you can compare it to native speakers or other learners and adjust accordingly. Mimic the cadence, tone, and emphasis you hear in your sources. This auditory feedback trains your muscles for accurate speech. Daily repetition strengthens both recognition and production, making your spoken English more natural and confident. This method also trains your thinking process in English. When you speak spontaneously during a recording, your brain must recall vocabulary, form sentences, and maintain coherence. This strengthens mental agility and prepares you for real conversations where immediate response is required. Listening to your voice also builds self-awareness and confidence. Many learners fear speaking because they are unsure how they sound. Recording allows you to face that fear in a controlled environment. Each time you play back your audio and notice progress, you gain confidence in your abilities. You also learn to accept imperfections and view them as opportunities to improve rather than failures. This mindset is essential for continuous growth and effective communication. You can enhance the effectiveness of recording by adding reflection. After listening, write down the sentences or words that need adjustment. Practice those specific phrases repeatedly and then re-record. This creates a loop of focused improvement. Each cycle strengthens accuracy, fluency, and confidence simultaneously. By treating recordings as both practice and assessment, you develop a structured approach to learning that maximizes results. Recording also helps with intonation, stress, and natural speech patterns. Notice where your voice rises and falls, where pauses occur, and how emphasis changes meaning. Speaking without awareness may sound flat or unnatural, but self-review highlights these patterns. Practice adjusting tone to convey meaning more effectively. This skill improves not only pronunciation but also the emotional impact of your speech, making your English more engaging and persuasive. This practice encourages active learning rather than passive repetition. Speaking without reviewing is similar to exercising without feedback. You move, but you may not improve efficiently. Recordings provide immediate feedback and allow self-correction. They transform effort into measurable progress. You can identify trends, track mistakes, and celebrate improvements. Active engagement in this process develops both linguistic skills and disciplined learning habits that extend beyond language acquisition. To maximize benefit, vary the content of your recordings. Talk about personal experiences, describe objects or scenes, explain concepts or narrate stories. This exposes you to diverse vocabulary, sentence structures, and contexts. By practicing different forms of expression, you prepare for varied real-life conversations. Variety also keeps practice interesting and prevents stagnation, which is essential for sustained motivation. In addition to self-review, you can use your recordings to seek external feedback. Share them with teachers, language partners, or online communities for constructive critique. Others may notice errors or nuances you missed, providing fresh perspectives and accelerating improvement. Combining self-assessment with external feedback creates a comprehensive learning system that is both self-directed and collaborative. Daily recording also strengthens listening comprehension. By playing back your own voice, you train your ears to recognize sounds and patterns in English. This enhances your ability to catch similar words in conversations, podcasts, and media. The act of hearing yourself repeatedly builds a mental map of pronunciation, rhythm, and vocabulary usage. Listening and speaking reinforce each other, creating a stronger connection between recognition and production. Recording encourages mindfulness in speech. When you know you will listen to yourself afterward, you pay more attention to pronunciation, word choice, and sentence structure. This heightened awareness improves accuracy and clarity. Over time, careful attention while recording translates to more deliberate and polished speech in real-life conversations. Mindful practice ensures that each session produces meaningful improvement rather than passive effort. Tracking improvements through recordings motivates long-term consistency. Listening to past recordings demonstrates progress and reinforces the value of daily practice. You see tangible evidence that your dedication produces results. This visibility strengthens discipline and commitment. Motivation grows as improvement becomes undeniable, creating a positive feedback loop that fuels continued effort. Recording also reduces anxiety about speaking. Practicing in private allows you to experiment, make mistakes, and refine without judgment. You build a safe space to explore the language. Over time, the confidence gained from repeated private practice translates into ease when speaking with others. By gradually increasing complexity, speed, and content, you prepare for real-world conversations with greater assurance and poise. This approach teaches self-reliance and accountability. You control the learning process, set goals, monitor progress, and adjust strategies. Unlike relying solely on teachers or classes, recording makes you responsible for your own development. This builds autonomy, problem-solving skills, and perseverance, all of which are essential for mastering English and achieving personal growth in general. Over time, the habit of recording and reviewing transforms your speaking abilities. Words come more naturally, sentences flow smoothly, and pronunciation improves. The ability to self-correct in real time becomes stronger, reducing hesitation and increasing fluency. Daily practice strengthens your skills incrementally, creating sustainable progress that compounds into mastery. Recording is not just a technical exercise, it is a pathway to confidence, precision, and self-awareness. By committing to daily voice practice, you cultivate a mindset of reflection, discipline, and continuous improvement. Each recording represents an investment in your ability to communicate, think, and grow. This consistent effort leads not only to better English, but also to enhanced personal development, resilience, and self-assurance. Chapter 6. Watch English movies with subtitles and copy phrases. Watching English movies with subtitles and copying phrases is a highly effective way to learn the language in a natural and immersive way. Movies provide real-life dialogue, emotions, and cultural context that textbooks cannot replicate. When you watch, you see and hear how words are used together, how sentences flow, and how tone and expression convey meaning. Subtitles bridge understanding, allowing you to follow the conversation while learning correct spelling and structure. Copying phrases strengthens memory, trains pronunciation, and helps you internalize authentic English patterns. This method combines listening, reading, and writing into a single learning activity that accelerates fluency. Start by choosing movies that match your language level. Beginners should select films with simple dialogue and clear pronunciation, while more advanced learners can explore movies with complex sentences or diverse accents. Interest matters because motivation sustains focus. If you enjoy the story, you will naturally pay closer attention, and the learning becomes enjoyable rather than forced. Enjoyment ensures longer engagement and deeper absorption of vocabulary and sentence structures. While watching, focus on short segments rather than the entire movie at once. Pause after each line or phrase, and repeat it aloud. Copy the sentence onto paper or a digital document. Writing down phrases helps reinforce memory and encourages active learning. Repetition is key. Hearing, seeing, writing, and speaking each phrase solidifies your understanding. Over time, these phrases become part of your active vocabulary, ready for use in conversation. Subtitles are essential, but do not rely on them entirely. Begin by reading the line, then cover the subtitle and try to repeat it from memory. This challenges your comprehension and speaking ability simultaneously. Gradually, you will need less reliance on subtitles, improving listening skills and confidence. Subtitles provide support, but your goal is to internalize language patterns and use them independently. Focus on expressions and idiomatic phrases, not just individual words. Movies teach natural ways to connect ideas, ask questions, express emotions, and respond in conversation. Phrases like, "What's going on?" or "I can't believe it" may seem simple, but their frequent use in real speech makes them powerful tools. Copying and practicing these phrases gives you ready-made language to use in everyday conversation. Over time, your speech will sound more natural and fluid. Emulate pronunciation and intonation. Pay attention to stress, rhythm, and tone as you repeat phrases. Speaking with the correct intonation conveys meaning more clearly and makes your English sound authentic. Copying phrases word for word helps you internalize these subtleties, which are often overlooked in traditional learning. Your voice gradually adapts to natural speech patterns, improving both clarity and confidence. It is important to repeat this practice regularly. Daily exposure to movies, even for short periods, creates consistent reinforcement. The brain remembers patterns through repetition and context. Watching different genres exposes you to various vocabulary and sentence structures, from casual conversation to formal dialogue. Each viewing adds layers of understanding and reinforces previously learned phrases. Write down new words you encounter in context. Do not only note the definition. Include the full sentence and the situation it was used in. Later, review these notes and practice using them in your own sentences. Contextual learning ensures that vocabulary is not isolated, making it easier to recall and apply naturally in real-life situations. This method builds both comprehension and active usage simultaneously. Pause to mimic not only words, but also emotions. Notice how actors express happiness, surprise, anger, or disappointment, and repeat lines with similar emotion. Expressive repetition reinforces both pronunciation and communication skills. English is not just about words, it is about conveying meaning effectively. Movies provide a rich source of emotional context that strengthens your overall communication ability. Choose movies with clear dialogue and avoid overly complex plots initially. Stories that are easy to follow allow you to focus on language rather than decoding intricate narratives. As your skills improve, explore more sophisticated films with varied accents and faster dialogue. Gradual escalation ensures continuous challenge without causing frustration. Each step forward strengthens both comprehension and confidence. Rewatch favorite scenes multiple times. Each repetition increases familiarity with vocabulary, phrases, and sentence structures. Repetition builds automaticity, allowing you to recall and use phrases without conscious effort. Watching the same scene repeatedly trains listening accuracy and improves pronunciation. Over time, your ability to understand and produce English increases significantly. Combine watching with active writing exercises. After viewing a scene, summarize it in English using the phrases and vocabulary you learned. This reinforces comprehension and encourages creative use of language. Writing consolidates memory and strengthens the link between recognition and production. You are practicing multiple skills simultaneously: listening, speaking, writing, and comprehension. Discuss movies with others. Share what you learned, describe scenes, or debate plots in English. Conversations about movies provide practical opportunities to use copied phrases in context. Discussing content reinforces memory, builds confidence, and allows immediate application of new language skills. Real interaction bridges the gap between passive learning and active usage. Record yourself reciting lines or summarizing scenes aloud. Playback lets you hear pronunciation, intonation, and fluency. Comparing your voice to native speakers highlights areas for improvement. This self-assessment reinforces learning and accelerates mastery of speech patterns. Recording complements copying phrases, providing another dimension of practice that strengthens overall communication skills. Focus on consistency rather than perfection. Watching a movie once or twice will not yield maximum benefit. Daily engagement, even for short periods, produces steady progress. Repetition, active copying, and practice integrate language into your memory and build confidence. Consistency transforms language exposure into lasting skills over time. Use subtitles strategically. Start with full subtitles in your native language, if needed. Then switch to English subtitles to strengthen comprehension. Eventually practice without subtitles, relying on listening alone. This gradual reduction builds listening ability, increases focus, and encourages reliance on auditory comprehension rather than written support. Transitioning from subtitles to independent listening is a natural progression that strengthens understanding and fluency. Pay attention to conversational connectors and natural pauses in dialogue. Movies teach how native speakers link ideas, emphasize points, and structure sentences. Copying these connectors improves your ability to speak smoothly and coherently. Natural pauses and transitions enhance the flow of your speech, making it sound authentic and confident. Select a variety of accents and speaking styles over time. Exposure to British, American, Australian, or other accents improves comprehension and adaptability. Copying phrases from diverse speakers strengthens your listening skills and prepares you for real-world communication. Understanding multiple accents ensures you can participate in global conversations with confidence. Integrate phrases into daily life immediately. Use expressions learned from movies in conversations, text messages, or journal entries. Active application strengthens memory and reinforces natural usage. Words and phrases solidify when used in practical contexts rather than memorized passively. Daily practice ensures your learning translates into usable skills. Keep a dedicated notebook for movie phrases. Organize phrases by theme, situation, or emotion. Review regularly and practice aloud. This habit creates a personal reference library of ready-to-use language. Having phrases organized enhances recall, accelerates speech production, and allows systematic practice of diverse expressions. Finally, understand that watching movies with subtitles and copying phrases is not just entertainment, it is structured practice. It trains listening, speaking, writing, and comprehension simultaneously. The immersive experience provides context, emotion, and repetition that strengthens both vocabulary and fluency. Daily practice with deliberate attention transforms English from an abstract concept into a living skill ready to be applied confidently in every real-life situation. Chapter 7. Write a short English journal entry every day. Writing a short English journal entry every day is one of the most practical and impactful ways to improve your language skills while developing discipline and self-awareness. The act of journaling forces you to organize your thoughts, select appropriate words, and structure sentences clearly. Unlike passive study, daily writing engages both your mind and your creativity, turning language practice into a meaningful reflection of your life. This habit not only strengthens vocabulary and grammar, but also builds confidence in expressing ideas independently. Each entry, no matter how brief, is a step toward mastery and fluency. Start by setting aside a consistent time each day for your journal. Whether it is in the morning to plan your day, during lunch to reflect on progress, or at night to review experiences, consistency creates a reliable routine. Daily commitment is more important than the length of the entry. Writing 5 sentences every day is far more effective than writing a long entry irregularly. The key is to make it habitual so that thinking and expressing yourself in English becomes automatic. Focus on personal experiences when you write. Describe what you did, what you felt, or what you learned. Using your own life as content makes the practice relevant and easier to sustain. Real experiences provide authentic context for vocabulary and sentence structures. You are not just memorizing words, you are applying them to communicate genuine thoughts. This connection strengthens both retention and practical use. Do not worry about making mistakes initially. The primary goal is to practice expression. Perfection comes with time and review. Each entry is an opportunity to experiment with new vocabulary. Try different sentence forms and test your understanding of grammar. Over time, repeated practice refines accuracy. Accepting imperfections encourages continuous effort without fear, which is essential for long-term improvement. Incorporate new words and phrases you have recently learned. If you encountered a new expression in a podcast, movie, or book, try to use it in your journal entry. This bridges exposure with active application. Writing new vocabulary in meaningful context solidifies understanding and accelerates recall during conversations. You are transforming passive knowledge into active skill through daily use. Structure each entry with a simple approach. Begin with a topic sentence, add a few supporting details, and conclude with a reflection or observation. This format creates clarity, helps organize your thoughts, and mirrors the structure of real communication. Over time, this practice trains you to construct coherent and complete sentences without conscious effort. Developing structure in writing naturally improves your ability to speak logically and fluently. Reflect on your emotions and thoughts as you write. Describe how situations made you feel, what challenged you, or what inspired you. Emotional content deepens engagement and enhances memory of words and phrases. Expressing feelings in English strengthens both language and emotional intelligence. Journaling becomes not only a linguistic exercise, but also a tool for self-awareness and personal growth. Reread your entries regularly. Reviewing what you wrote allows you to identify repeated mistakes, notice progress, and correct errors. Reflection reinforces learning by connecting past experiences with current understanding. You can edit previous sentences, experiment with improved wording, and track your evolving skill. This process develops critical thinking alongside language proficiency. Challenge yourself to vary sentence structures. Use questions, descriptive phrases, comparisons, or cause and effect statements. Diversity in writing strengthens your versatility and prepares you for real conversations. Simple sentences are effective, but mixing in complexity gradually enhances fluency and expands your expressive capacity. Each new structure practiced in your journal becomes a tool for real-life communication. Incorporate descriptive details. Include colors, sounds, smells, or textures when writing about your surroundings or experiences. Sensory language makes entries more vivid, trains specific vocabulary, and enhances creative thinking. Descriptive practice improves your ability to communicate clearly and paints a more precise picture for listeners or readers. Over time, your writing becomes richer, and your spoken English mirrors this clarity and depth. Set small, achievable goals for each entry. Focus on using 3 new words, writing 5 complete sentences, or describing one specific event in detail. Goals provide structure, measurable progress, and motivation. Each completed entry becomes an accomplishment, reinforcing the habit and fostering a sense of achievement. Goals ensure deliberate practice rather than aimless writing. Experiment with different topics. Some days, write about daily routines. Other days, reflect on goals, hobbies, or challenges. This variety exposes you to diverse vocabulary and sentence patterns. Engaging with different subjects develops flexibility in language use, preparing you to handle a wide range of real-life conversations. The more topics you cover, the more versatile your English becomes. Use your journal to practice questions and responses. Write a question you might ask someone in a conversation and then answer it in your entry. This method simulates dialogue, strengthens thinking in English, and prepares you for spontaneous interactions. Daily rehearsal of conversational structures builds confidence and fluency in real communication situations. Combine writing with reading. After writing an entry, read it aloud. Listening to your own words enhances pronunciation, rhythm, and intonation. Hearing mistakes or awkward phrasing while speaking allows immediate self-correction. Writing and reading aloud reinforce each other, creating a stronger connection between comprehension and production. This multi-sensory approach maximizes the effectiveness of daily practice. Record your journal entries occasionally. Speaking what you wrote adds another layer of active practice. Your voice becomes familiar with the words and structures you frequently use. Recording also provides an opportunity to evaluate fluency and adjust pronunciation, pacing, and expression. Combining written and spoken practice accelerates language development significantly. Reflect on progress weekly or monthly. Review multiple entries to identify trends in vocabulary usage, sentence structure, and grammar improvement. Celebrate milestones, such as successfully using complex sentences or consistently writing daily. Reflection reinforces motivation and demonstrates tangible progress, strengthening commitment to continuous improvement. Include practical topics in your entries. Write about plans, schedules, tasks, or problem solving in English. Applying language to actionable scenarios ensures usefulness beyond journaling. When the situations you describe mirror real-life interactions, the vocabulary and expressions become immediately transferable to conversations, emails, or meetings. Journaling thus becomes a bridge between study and application. Use your journal to analyze mistakes thoughtfully. When a word or sentence feels incorrect, research the proper usage and note it in your entry. This transforms errors into learning opportunities. Active correction strengthens memory and builds confidence in using language accurately. Over time, repeated analysis reduces mistakes and improves overall precision. Maintain a balance between quantity and quality. Focus on meaningful sentences rather than long but empty entries. Each sentence should contribute to practice, reflection, or vocabulary development. Purposeful writing ensures that every word reinforces language skills, creating efficient and impactful learning. Over time, consistent, high-quality practice produces visible fluency gains. Finally, recognize that daily journaling develops more than language skills. It cultivates discipline, reflection, creativity, and focus. Each entry is a record of both your progress and your commitment to improvement. Chapter 8. Learn new English words by labeling home objects. Learning new English words by labeling home objects is a simple, yet powerful technique that turns your living space into a constant language learning environment. Every object around you becomes a teacher, helping you absorb vocabulary naturally throughout the day. This method creates repeated exposure, which strengthens memory and recall. The moment you see a label on a door, fridge, or a mirror, your brain associates the object with its English name, making retention automatic. Over time, this consistent visual reinforcement transforms ordinary surroundings into a structured, immersive practice environment that enhances vocabulary without requiring extra time or complex study methods. Begin by identifying objects in your immediate environment. Start with common items like furniture, appliances, utensils, and electronics. Write the English name on small visible labels and stick them directly onto the objects. Use clear, legible handwriting to ensure you can read the words easily. The physical act of writing the word adds a layer of kinesthetic learning, which helps reinforce memory. Every glance at the object becomes a mini review session, reinforcing recognition and recall automatically. In addition to nouns, expand your labels to include verbs or adjectives that describe actions or characteristics associated with objects. For example, label a refrigerator with cold or a chair with sit. This method strengthens your understanding of how words function in context and encourages you to think about English beyond simple identification. Associating descriptive terms or actions with objects enhances your ability to form sentences naturally. It transforms passive recognition into active language use. Repeat the words aloud each time you interact with a labeled object. Saying, "I open the door while touching a door labeled door," or "I sit on the chair" while interacting with a labeled chair reinforces both pronunciation and sentence formation. Speaking aloud strengthens memory and trains your brain to link words with actions. This practice integrates vocabulary into both your speaking and thinking processes, making language use automatic and effortless over time. Rotate and refresh labels regularly. Start with a small number of objects and gradually increase the number as your vocabulary grows. Remove labels once you feel confident with certain words and replace them with new ones. This incremental approach prevents overload and ensures continuous learning. Gradual expansion challenges your memory while keeping the process manageable and motivating. Group objects into categories to enhance systematic learning. For instance, label kitchen items together, living room items together, and bathroom items separately. Organizing vocabulary thematically helps your brain create mental associations and networks, making it easier to recall words during conversation. Category-based labeling also provides structure to your practice, turning everyday observation into a deliberate, strategic exercise. Use additional reinforcement by creating mini-sentences or phrases on labels. Instead of just writing refrigerator, write "open the refrigerator" or "cold refrigerator." This introduces basic grammar and sentence structure naturally. You begin to see words as components of communication rather than isolated vocabulary. Using phrases transforms recognition into functional language use and prepares you for real-life conversation. Encourage family members or housemates to interact using the labels. Speaking English in context with others reinforces learning and provides social practice. Asking someone to pass the spoon or turn off the lamp encourages practical application of labeled vocabulary. Shared participation strengthens both motivation and engagement, creating a collaborative environment for language growth. Combine labeling with journaling or reflection. Note down new words in a separate notebook along with example sentences. Periodically review this list to reinforce memory and measure progress. Writing strengthens retention and provides an additional resource for practice outside of daily interactions with labeled objects. This method integrates multiple modes of learning: visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and written, ensuring deeper mastery. Use labeling to simulate real-life scenarios. For example, label the door as exit or entrance to practice directional or functional vocabulary. Label containers with food items or supplies to learn material and measurement vocabulary. This contextual approach trains you to think in English when performing daily tasks, bridging the gap between study and practical communication. Real-life association enhances recall and boosts confidence in using English spontaneously. Challenge yourself by creating sentences or short dialogues based on labels. For example, after seeing mirror, you can practice "I look in the mirror" or "the mirror is clean." This technique develops sentence construction skills and strengthens the connection between vocabulary and grammatical application. Daily repetition of these small exercises accumulates into significant fluency over time. Incorporate adjectives and prepositions into labeling for richer language practice. Label a cup as blue cup on the table, or a book as interesting book. Expanding labels beyond simple nouns introduces descriptive language, encourages critical thinking, and develops a broader vocabulary. You start learning to express not just objects, but also characteristics and relationships, which is essential for effective communication. Use sticky notes in different colors to categorize words by difficulty or type. For instance, green for beginner words, yellow for intermediate, and red for advanced vocabulary. Color coding creates visual cues that help memory retention and allows you to track learning progress. This system makes the practice interactive and visually engaging, increasing motivation and consistency. Engage with labels actively rather than passively. Each time you see a labeled object, consciously say the word, form a sentence, or think about a related expression. Mindful practice ensures that your learning is deliberate and impactful. Passive observation alone is less effective. Active engagement maximizes retention and prepares words for real-life application. Set daily or weekly goals for labeling. For example, commit to labeling 10 new objects each week, or forming 5 new sentences per day using labeled items. Goals provide structure, measurable achievement, and motivation. Tracking progress helps maintain consistency and reinforces a sense of accomplishment, which sustains long-term commitment to learning. Integrate technology by using digital labels or apps alongside physical labeling. Take pictures of labeled items and practice vocabulary on your phone or computer. Create flashcards using images and English words to review periodically. Combining physical and digital methods ensures multisensory engagement and reinforces learning in various contexts. Experiment with interactive exercises. For example, close your eyes and try to recall the English words of objects in a room, then check by looking at the labels. This memory exercise strengthens recall and reinforces learning under realistic conditions. Repeated challenge and retrieval practice solidify vocabulary and long-term memory, ensuring readiness for active use. Over time, move from simple labeling to thinking entirely in English while interacting with your environment. Mentally name objects, describe them, and form sentences about them without relying on physical labels. The labels serve as scaffolding that gradually fades as internalization occurs. This approach trains your brain to operate in English naturally, improving fluency and confidence in daily life. The practice of labeling home objects combines consistency, observation, and active application into one powerful method. It transforms your living space into a dynamic classroom where learning is constant, integrated, and practical. Each glance, interaction, and repetition strengthens vocabulary, pronunciation, and sentence formation. Over time, this habit builds a foundation for fluent, confident English usage that seamlessly integrates into real-life routines, turning ordinary surroundings into a continuous source of growth and improvement. Chapter 9. Use English when texting friends and family. Using English when texting friends and family is a practical way to integrate language learning into your everyday life while maintaining natural communication. Texting allows you to practice vocabulary, sentence construction, and conversational tone in a low-pressure environment. Unlike speaking, texting gives you time to think, formulate sentences, and correct mistakes before sending. This combination of reflection and real-world application accelerates learning and builds confidence in using English daily. Each message becomes an opportunity to expand vocabulary, experiment with new expressions, and develop a more intuitive grasp of the language. Start by choosing a few people who are supportive and patient. Explain that you want to practice English and invite them to communicate with you in simple messages. Their encouragement provides motivation and reduces fear of errors. Even short exchanges, like greetings, updates, or casual questions, create consistent exposure to practical English in context. Consistency is key, so aim to send at least a few messages every day, gradually increasing complexity as your comfort grows. Focus on simple sentences at first. Use greetings, basic questions, or updates about your day. Short, clear sentences are easier to construct and reduce the chance of frustration. For example, "I went to the park today," or "What did you eat for breakfast?" are functional messages that reinforce daily vocabulary and natural sentence patterns. Simple communication builds confidence and provides a foundation for longer, more complex exchanges over time. Incorporate new vocabulary and phrases you have learned from reading, movies, or other exercises. Using words actively in conversation strengthens retention. For instance, if you recently learned the word excited, you could text, "I am excited to see the movie tonight." Applying new vocabulary in context ensures that words are not just memorized, but also internalized and usable in daily communication. Pay attention to tone and clarity. Texting in English requires careful word choice because tone and nuance can be lost without vocal expression. Use polite expressions, proper punctuation, and clear phrasing to convey the intended meaning. Over time, this practice teaches precision in communication and enhances understanding of conversational etiquette in English. Effective texting develops both accuracy and social appropriateness, which are critical for real-life language use. Use emojis and informal expressions thoughtfully. Modern English communication often includes casual expressions, contractions, and emotive symbols. Incorporating these elements appropriately allows you to understand and participate in contemporary language use. For instance, texting, "I'm happy" reinforces both contraction usage and emotional expression. Learning casual language alongside formal constructs ensures your English is practical, natural, and adaptable to different social contexts. Challenge yourself by expanding the content gradually. Move from simple sentences to short paragraphs describing events, thoughts, or opinions. For instance, instead of "I went shopping," you could write, "I went shopping today and bought fresh vegetables for dinner." It was a busy but productive day. This practice enhances fluency, builds confidence in expressing complex ideas, and encourages thinking in English more deeply. Incorporate storytelling into messages. Share experiences, small anecdotes, or observations from your day. Storytelling trains you to connect sentences logically, sequence events, and use descriptive language naturally. Even brief stories in text improve narrative skills and strengthen vocabulary in context. Story-based texting provides practical language practice that mirrors real-life conversation and written communication simultaneously. Use texting as a rehearsal space for other English exercises. Experiment with new phrases or structures before using them in spoken conversations. If you learned "I am looking forward to," you can text "I am looking forward to the weekend." Practicing in writing allows you to test expressions safely, refine usage, and build confidence for spoken interactions. Texting bridges the gap between controlled practice and real-world application. Create a vocabulary log based on your texting. Note down new words or phrases used in conversations, including context and meaning. Reviewing these entries regularly reinforces memory and prepares you for active usage. Texting becomes a source of authentic examples for your personal dictionary, strengthening both comprehension and retention. Engage in interactive exchanges. Ask for explanations, corrections, or feedback from your texting partners. For example, if unsure about a word, ask, "Did I use this correctly?" Receiving feedback in context is more effective than memorizing rules in isolation. Constructive input accelerates improvement and develops your ability to self-correct. Set measurable goals for your texting practice. Aim to send a minimum number of English messages each day, or gradually increase the word count of your messages. Goals provide structure, accountability, and motivation. Clear objectives ensure that your practice remains deliberate and focused rather than casual or inconsistent. Pay attention to the flow of conversation. Texting teaches conversational pacing, turn-taking, and coherence. Practice responding promptly, linking ideas logically, and maintaining clarity across multiple messages. These skills transfer directly to spoken English, where natural flow and timing are critical. Daily texting develops rhythm, coherence, and conversational intuition. Experiment with different topics. Discuss hobbies, plans, news, or opinions. Variety exposes you to diverse vocabulary and sentence structures. Covering multiple subjects strengthens adaptability in language use and prepares you for broader conversations beyond daily routines. The wider the range of topics, the richer your practical vocabulary becomes. Integrate humor or casual expressions when appropriate. Casual language practice helps you adapt to informal communication styles, which are common in daily life. Sending simple jokes, light-hearted comments, or playful phrases in English strengthens conversational confidence and cultural understanding. Engaging naturally makes language learning enjoyable and sustainable. Combine texting with other exercises. After sending a message, read it aloud to practice pronunciation and rhythm. Record yourself repeating complex phrases or sentences from the conversation, integrating multiple modes, writing, reading, speaking, maximizes learning efficiency and accelerates skill development. Each message becomes a multi-layered practice opportunity. Reflect on improvement regularly. Look back at older messages to identify progress in vocabulary, grammar, and sentence construction. Celebrating small achievements reinforces motivation and demonstrates tangible results. Awareness of improvement strengthens commitment to continued practice and helps identify strategies that work best for your learning style. Use English texting to simulate real-world scenarios. For example, practice making plans, giving directions, or explaining tasks in English. This builds practical language skills applicable in work, travel, or social settings. Texting thus serves as both practice and preparation, bridging the gap between study and real-life communication. Ultimately, using English in texting transforms daily communication into a structured, engaging, and effective learning tool. The process reinforces vocabulary, sentence construction, grammar, and conversational tone, while building confidence and fluency. Regular practice through texting integrates English into your everyday life, making language learning continuous, practical, and deeply impactful. Each message sent is a step toward mastery, self-expression, and the ability to communicate naturally and confidently in real-life situations. Chapter 10. Read English news articles and summarize aloud. Reading English news articles and summarizing them aloud is a highly effective practice that combines comprehension, critical thinking, and spoken English into one powerful exercise. It develops the ability to process information, extract key points, and express ideas clearly, which are essential skills for real-life communication. Unlike casual reading, summarizing aloud forces active engagement with the text. You cannot simply skim or ignore difficult vocabulary. Instead, you analyze, interpret, and reformulate the content in your own words. This approach strengthens understanding, memory retention, and fluency simultaneously. Start by selecting articles that match your language level and interest. For beginners, short news stories with clear sentences and straightforward vocabulary work best. Intermediate learners can explore longer reports or feature articles, while advanced learners may challenge themselves with opinion pieces or investigative journalism. Interest in the subject matter increases engagement and ensures that the reading process is enjoyable and motivating. Engaged reading also encourages curiosity, helping you encounter diverse vocabulary and sentence structures naturally. Before reading aloud, skim the article to understand the main idea. Identify headlines, subheadings, and the opening sentences of each paragraph. This preliminary review provides context and primes your brain to anticipate vocabulary and sentence patterns. Understanding the structure of a news article, such as the introduction of facts followed by explanations and quotes, helps you summarize more effectively. Skimming also trains you to identify relevant information quickly, a skill that is valuable both in language learning and daily life. As you read each paragraph, pause and repeat sentences aloud. Focus on pronunciation, intonation, and natural rhythm. Speaking while reading improves fluency and reinforces the link between visual recognition and vocal articulation. Pay attention to pauses, emphasis, and sentence flow. The goal is not just to pronounce words correctly, but to convey meaning clearly and naturally. Repetition solidifies memory of vocabulary and phrases, while training your mouth and ear to internalize authentic English sounds. After reading a section, summarize it in your own words aloud. Begin with the main idea, then include essential details, examples, or outcomes. Summarizing exercises your brain to condense information and prioritize relevance. This mirrors real-world situations where you need to explain content to others quickly and accurately. Summarizing aloud strengthens both comprehension and expressive skills, making you more confident in discussing topics in English. Incorporate new vocabulary actively. When you encounter unfamiliar words in the article, note them down and try to use them in your summary. Contextual application ensures that new words are not just memorized but internalized for practical use. For example, if the article mentions innovation, you might say, "The company introduced innovation in their product design." Applying new words in meaningful sentences accelerates retention and builds active vocabulary. Focus on sentence variety. Use different sentence structures, including simple, compound, and complex forms, to summarize ideas. Experiment with connectors like because, therefore, however, and in addition to link thoughts logically. Practicing sentence variety prepares you for natural conversation and effective written communication. Over time, this builds flexibility in expression and the ability to communicate ideas with clarity and precision. Record your summaries to track progress. Listening to your own recordings helps identify pronunciation errors, sentence structure issues, and areas where clarity can improve. Playback allows you to measure improvement over time and make deliberate adjustments. This self-assessment strengthens both confidence and accuracy, reinforcing the habit of thoughtful, articulate expression in English. Repeat articles when necessary. Repetition reinforces understanding, pronunciation, and memory. Reading the same article multiple times allows you to notice nuances, subtle vocabulary, and grammatical patterns that you might have missed initially. Each repetition deepens comprehension and embeds the language more firmly in your mind, increasing readiness for spontaneous use in conversations. Engage in discussions based on articles. Share summaries with friends, family, or online English groups. Explaining content to others tests comprehension and enhances communicative confidence. You also receive feedback, which highlights strengths and areas for improvement. Social practice adds a dynamic layer to reading exercises, transforming passive reading into active, practical application. Use summaries to practice paraphrasing. Avoid repeating sentences word for word from the article. Instead, translate the meaning into your own language of expression. Paraphrasing develops flexibility in thought and speech, helping you explain ideas clearly without relying on memorized structures. This skill is essential for real-life communication, academic discussions, and professional contexts. Track and organize new vocabulary from each article. Create a personal list with definitions, example sentences, and usage context. Review and incorporate these words into future summaries and conversations. Systematic tracking strengthens retention and ensures continuous vocabulary growth. Over time, you develop a substantial working vocabulary that supports comprehension and communication across various topics. Challenge yourself with time limits. Summarize an article aloud within a set number of minutes. This improves your ability to think quickly, organize ideas efficiently, and communicate concisely. Timed exercises simulate real-life scenarios, such as meetings, presentations, or casual discussions, where clarity and brevity are essential. Repeated practice under time constraints enhances both fluency and confidence. Integrate reading and summarizing with listening practice. Listen to the audio version of the news, if available, then read and summarize aloud. This combination strengthens auditory comprehension, reinforces pronunciation, and provides exposure to natural speech rhythms. Multisensory engagement accelerates learning and deepens understanding of both content and language. Focus on connecting ideas logically. Use transition phrases such as firstly, in contrast, as a result, and for example when summarizing. Logical sequencing improves clarity and makes your spoken summaries more coherent. Practicing these connections prepares you for structured conversations, presentations, and written communication. Over time, your summaries become articulate, organized, and compelling. Combine summarization with written practice. After summarizing aloud, write a brief note of your summary in English. Writing reinforces spoken practice, consolidates vocabulary, and develops sentence structure awareness. Regular combination of speaking and writing ensures well-rounded skill development. Over time, you gain confidence in both oral and written communication. Select diverse topics for reading. Explore science, technology, culture, health, and current events. Exposure to varied subjects broadens vocabulary, introduces specialized terms, and builds comprehension of different writing styles. A wide range of topics prepares you to engage in diverse conversations and enhances adaptability in real-life interactions. Finally, understand that reading English news articles and summarizing aloud is not just an academic exercise. It is a dynamic method that integrates comprehension, vocabulary building, pronunciation, critical thinking, and expressive confidence into daily practice. Consistent engagement transforms passive reading into active communication, making English a practical, usable skill. Over time, this method strengthens both your language proficiency and cognitive ability to analyze, synthesize, and communicate information clearly, effectively, and confidently in any real-life situation. Chapter 11. Ask questions in English during online classes. Asking questions in English during online classes is one of the most effective ways to practice active communication while reinforcing comprehension and critical thinking. Engaging verbally in a learning environment forces your brain to process information, formulate sentences, and express ideas in real time. Unlike silent learning or passive listening, asking questions requires you to organize your thoughts clearly, select appropriate vocabulary, and pay attention to grammar. Each question is not just a query, but also a practice opportunity that strengthens your ability to think, speak, and interact in English naturally. Over time, consistent participation builds confidence, fluency, and comfort in expressing yourself under pressure. Begin by preparing questions in advance. Review the lesson materials and note areas that are unclear or intriguing. Preparing allows you to think about the words and structures you will use, reducing anxiety and increasing accuracy. Start with simple inquiries about definitions, explanations, or examples. For instance, can you explain this term again? Or how does this concept apply in real life? Clear, concise questions are effective and encourage teachers to respond with meaningful explanations. Start with simple, short questions before progressing to complex ones. Asking straightforward questions like, "What does this word mean?" or "Can you give an example?" establishes a foundation for participation. Once comfortable, expand to detailed or multi-part questions that explore concepts more deeply, such as how does this process impact the overall system? Gradual progression ensures that you are consistently challenged without feeling overwhelmed. Complexity develops analytical thinking, while simplicity ensures accessibility and confidence in the early stages of practice. Use online classes to simulate real-life conversation scenarios. Think of questions as ways to practice expressing curiosity, seeking clarification, or engaging in dialogue. For example, asking about instructions, examples, or applications mirrors situations outside the classroom. Observe how teachers and classmates respond to your questions. Analyze sentence structure, word choice, and tone in their answers. This observation provides insights into natural English usage and conversational flow. Mimicking or adapting these patterns helps internalize structures, enrich vocabulary, and improve your ability to respond thoughtfully. Interaction in a dynamic environment accelerates learning more effectively than isolated study. Ask follow-up questions when necessary. If an answer is unclear or prompts additional curiosity, continue the dialogue. For example, "Can you give another example?" or "How does this relate to the previous topic?" Follow-ups enhance understanding, encourage deeper engagement, and provide extended practice in forming complex sentences. Each additional layer of questioning reinforces your ability to think critically and express ideas coherently. Use online chat features to complement verbal questions. Writing questions in the chat allows you to practice written English alongside spoken practice. Carefully structuring written questions helps refine grammar, punctuation, and vocabulary. The combination of written and spoken questioning reinforces multiple skills simultaneously and provides a safety net for learners who may feel hesitant speaking aloud at first. Practice framing questions in different ways. Experiment with yes-no questions, open-ended questions, and hypothetical inquiries. For instance, instead of asking, "Is this correct?" try, "What would happen if we change this variable?" Diverse question formats expand thinking, promote creative engagement, and expose you to a variety of sentence structures. This flexibility prepares you for real-world dialogue, where conversations are rarely uniform or predictable. Reflect on questions after class. Consider which questions were effective, which required clarification, and what vocabulary or structure you can improve. Reflection develops self-awareness and strategic learning, highlighting patterns and areas for growth. This process transforms each interaction into a feedback loop, making every class a meaningful opportunity for improvement. Record or note your questions and answers for review. Revisiting past inquiries helps track progress in vocabulary, fluency, and comprehension. It also provides material to practice summaries, paraphrasing, and new questions in future sessions. Structured review ensures that learning is cumulative, deliberate, and continuously reinforced. Set personal goals for participation. Decide to ask a certain number of questions per class or to use new vocabulary in every inquiry. Goals create accountability, motivation, and measurable progress. Achieving small targets consistently reinforces habit formation and builds confidence gradually. Structured participation encourages active learning rather than passive attendance. Challenge yourself with spontaneous questions. After gaining confidence, ask questions without prior preparation based on points discussed in class. This develops quick thinking, adaptability, and conversational agility. Spontaneous questioning mirrors real-life communication where responses must often be immediate and contextually appropriate. Regular practice reduces hesitation and fosters fluent expression under pressure. Collaborate with classmates to discuss questions before or after class. Peer discussion helps generate ideas, practice phrasing, and refine sentence structure. Explaining your question to others enhances clarity and confidence. Collaborative practice also introduces diverse perspectives, enriching both content knowledge and language use. Interaction with peers transforms learning into a dynamic, engaging, and supportive process. Analyze the structure of questions asked by teachers. Observe how they introduce topics, frame curiosity, and emphasize key points. Replicating effective structures improves your ability to form coherent and precise questions. Modeling your speech on expert examples accelerates mastery of syntax, vocabulary, and natural flow. This modeling integrates observation with practical application, strengthening overall communication skills. Incorporate adjectives, adverbs, and prepositions when appropriate. Instead of asking, "What is the process?" you could ask, "Can you explain the process clearly for beginners?" Adding descriptive or contextual elements enhances clarity, precision, and expressiveness. Gradually increasing complexity trains you to convey nuanced ideas effectively, which is essential for advanced communication. Use questioning as a method of problem solving. Frame questions that explore solutions, cause and effect, or hypothetical scenarios. For example, what strategies can improve this outcome? Or how would changing this step affect results? This approach integrates critical thinking with language practice, making learning both intellectually and linguistically enriching. Practice politeness and clarity in questions. Phrases like, "Could you please explain?" Or would you mind clarifying? Develop proper social and cultural communication skills. Practicing polite inquiry ensures that your English is not only functional, but also contextually appropriate for academic, professional, and social settings. Confidence combined with respect creates effective communication that is both natural and impactful. Chapter 12. Sing along with English songs to improve fluency. Singing along with English songs is a highly effective and enjoyable way to improve fluency, pronunciation, and listening skills, while making language practice a part of daily life. Songs combine rhythm, repetition, and melody, which naturally reinforce memory and make new vocabulary easier to retain. Unlike traditional study methods, singing engages multiple senses at once, integrating hearing, speaking, and even emotional connection. This multi-layered approach helps you internalize sentence structures, common expressions, and idiomatic usage in a natural, memorable way. Every lyric you repeat aloud strengthens your ability to produce English sounds accurately and to form sentences smoothly. Begin by selecting songs that match your current level of English comprehension. For beginners, choose songs with slow tempo, clear enunciation, and simple vocabulary. Intermediate learners can explore slightly faster songs with moderate complexity, while advanced learners can challenge themselves with lyrics rich in idiomatic expressions or figurative language. Interest in the song itself increases motivation, engagement, and the likelihood of repeated practice. Enjoyment plays a key role in consistent learning because the more you like the song, the more naturally you will sing along. Start by listening carefully to the song several times without singing. Focus on pronunciation, rhythm, and intonation. Notice how words are connected, how stress falls on certain syllables, and how sentences flow. Listening attentively allows you to understand the lyrics before attempting to repeat them. This builds a foundation for accurate reproduction and ensures that when you sing aloud, your pronunciation and phrasing are closer to native usage. Once familiar with the song, begin singing along line by line. Break the song into manageable segments and practice each section repeatedly. Concentrate on clarity and articulation. Singing slowly at first helps internalize both the vocabulary and melody. Pay close attention to pronunciation and intonation. Songs often feature contractions, connected speech, and varied stress patterns that reflect authentic spoken English. Mimicking these patterns develops listening comprehension and helps your speech sound more natural. Practice emphasizing syllables and words correctly to reflect the original flow. Over time, your accent will improve and your speech will become smoother and more expressive. Incorporate vocabulary practice into singing. When you encounter unfamiliar words, write them down, look up their meanings, and create sentences using them. Use the words in other contexts throughout your day. Singing these words in context reinforces retention and demonstrates practical application, transforming passive recognition into active, usable language skills. Use subtitles or lyric sheets to follow along while singing. Reading while listening enhances comprehension and helps associate written words with their sounds. Focus on how the text corresponds to the melody and pronunciation. This visual auditory connection strengthens memory, reinforces spelling, and helps you understand the rhythm and flow of English sentences. Over time, you will rely less on written lyrics and sing confidently from memory. Practice singing in front of a mirror or record yourself. Recording allows you to evaluate pronunciation, rhythm, and clarity. Listening to playback identifies areas for improvement and helps track progress over time. Engage with different genres of music. Each genre presents unique vocabulary, sentence structures, and cultural expressions. Pop songs might focus on emotions and relationships. Rock songs may include figurative language, and storytelling songs often incorporate narrative structure. Exposure to varied content broadens vocabulary, enhances comprehension, and develops the ability to interpret and express nuanced ideas in English. Experiment with repetition and shadowing. Play a line of the song and immediately repeat it aloud, trying to match the rhythm, tone, and speed of the singer. Shadowing trains your brain and mouth to reproduce English sounds accurately and helps improve listening, speaking, and memory simultaneously. It creates a direct connection between hearing and producing language, which is essential for fluency. Combine singing with movement. Clapping, tapping, or swaying to the rhythm reinforces timing, pacing, and internalization of sentence flow. Physical engagement helps the brain retain patterns more effectively and makes practice more interactive and enjoyable. Moving while singing enhances memory retention and makes the learning process dynamic and lively. Focus on expression and emotion. Convey the meaning of the lyrics as you sing. Emphasizing emotion helps connect words with feelings and context, which is crucial for natural communication. Practicing expressive language improves tone, nuance, and the ability to convey ideas effectively in conversation. Emotional engagement also strengthens motivation and makes learning enjoyable. Translate lyrics into your own words after singing. Summarizing the song or rewriting it in your own sentences reinforces comprehension and encourages active use of vocabulary. This practice bridges the gap between recognition and application, enabling you to integrate the language into other speaking or writing activities. It also enhances analytical skills and strengthens overall language mastery. Challenge yourself to sing without looking at the lyrics. Once confident with pronunciation and vocabulary, try memorizing lines or entire songs. Singing from memory trains recall, encourages mental rehearsal of language structures, and promotes spontaneous fluency. Gradually removing the support of lyrics strengthens your ability to produce English naturally and confidently in conversation. Collaborate with others. Sing with friends, family, or online groups to enhance engagement and social practice. Group singing builds confidence, exposes you to different accents and expressions, and encourages constructive feedback. Shared practice makes learning dynamic and enjoyable, while social interaction improves adaptability and practical language use. Incorporate reflection after each session. Identify which words, phrases, or patterns were difficult and plan specific follow-up practice. Targeting weaknesses ensures deliberate improvement. Reflection develops strategic learning habits, helping you progress steadily and systematically. Consistent self-monitoring accelerates mastery and reinforces motivation. Integrate singing with other language exercises. For instance, write a brief summary of the song, use new words in sentences, or record yourself explaining the lyrics. Combining speaking, writing, and listening strengthens multiple skills simultaneously and solidifies learning. This multi-dimensional approach ensures that fluency is built on comprehension, vocabulary, and expressive practice. Finally, singing along with English songs transforms routine language practice into a lively, effective, and engaging exercise. It enhances pronunciation, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension while embedding the language into your memory through rhythm and melody. Consistent, deliberate practice turns songs into both a joyful habit and a powerful tool for everyday communication. Over time, the combination of listening, speaking, expression, and reflection builds natural, confident, and practical English skills that integrate seamlessly into real-life conversations. Chapter 13. Teach simple English phrases to someone else. Teaching simple English phrases to someone else is one of the most powerful ways to reinforce your own language skills while actively contributing to someone else's learning. When you explain ideas to another person, your brain processes information differently, making connections stronger and knowledge more permanent. This method combines reflection, articulation, and repetition, ensuring that what you know becomes practical and internalized. The act of teaching forces you to clarify your understanding, simplify explanations, and anticipate possible questions, which strengthens both comprehension and confidence. Sharing knowledge transforms learning from a passive activity into an active, dynamic process that benefits both teacher and learner. Begin by selecting simple phrases that are practical for daily life. Greetings, polite expressions, basic questions, and common responses are excellent starting points. Examples such as, "How are you?" "I would like some water," or "Can you help me?" are functional, easy to remember, and immediately applicable. Teaching practical phrases ensures that learning is not abstract, but directly useful for real-life communication. Focus on phrases that are relevant to your learner's environment, as contextual understanding improves retention and usability. Demonstrate pronunciation accurately. Speak slowly and clearly, emphasizing syllables, intonation, and stress patterns. Encourage your learner to repeat after you multiple times. Repetition helps embed correct pronunciation and builds muscle memory for the mouth and tongue. Accurate modeling ensures that learners develop proper speech habits from the beginning, which strengthens fluency and reduces the need for corrections later. Engage your learner in active practice immediately. Ask them to use the phrases in short dialogues or role plays. For instance, simulate a store interaction using phrases like "How much is this?" or "I would like to buy this." Active application reinforces memory, builds confidence, and demonstrates the practical utility of phrases. Structured practice transforms abstract knowledge into usable skills. Ask questions to check understanding. Simple questions like, "What does this phrase mean?" or "Can you say it again?" help evaluate comprehension and pronunciation. Feedback is critical, as it allows you to adjust explanations and ensure clarity. Anticipating and responding to questions develops your ability to explain concepts effectively and reinforces your mastery of the material. Encourage creativity in usage. Once learners are familiar with basic phrases, invite them to create new sentences or situations using the same structure. For example, if they know "I would like some water," challenge them to say "I would like some tea," or "I would like some help." Practicing variations strengthens adaptability and prepares learners to communicate beyond memorized phrases. Teaching this process reinforces your own ability to manipulate language and think flexibly in English. Use visual aids or gestures to support understanding, pointing, miming actions, or showing objects when teaching. Phrases like "open the door" or "sit down" enhances comprehension. Multisensory engagement helps learners link meaning, sound, and action, making language easier to remember. Using multiple cues strengthens both retention and confidence in applying phrases spontaneously. Correct gently and constructively. When a learner makes a mistake, model the correct usage without discouraging them. For example, if they say, "I like water some," respond with "Good try." We say, "I would like some water. Can you repeat that?" Positive reinforcement encourages persistence, reduces anxiety, and builds a safe learning environment. Teaching with patience ensures that both your knowledge and the learner's confidence grow simultaneously. Demonstrate phrases in context. Provide short scenarios where phrases are naturally used. For instance, a greeting like "How are you?" can be modeled in a conversation about meeting a friend. Contextual learning helps learners understand appropriate situations and nuances, making their language use more natural and functional. Practicing in context also reinforces your understanding of usage and situational appropriateness. Encourage repetition and review. Revisiting previously taught phrases strengthens memory and helps retain pronunciation and structure. Ask learners to recall phrases and use them in different sentences. Regular review ensures knowledge is reinforced over time and demonstrates the long-term value of practice. Teaching review sessions also gives you the opportunity to observe patterns, refine explanations, and deepen your own mastery. Incorporate dialogue practice. Create simple back-and-forth exchanges using taught phrases. Practicing conversations builds rhythm, fluency, and confidence. Simulated dialogues prepare learners for real interactions and allow you to monitor comprehension, response time, and pronunciation. Structured conversation practice is one of the most effective ways to transition from isolated phrases to natural communication. Model expressive language. Emphasize tone, emotion, and politeness when using phrases. For example, say "thank you very much" with sincerity or "I am sorry" with empathy. Demonstrating expression teaches learners the social and cultural nuances of English communication. Observing and mimicking expressive language enhances fluency and prepares learners to interact naturally in real-life situations. Challenge learners gradually. After mastering simple phrases, introduce slightly more complex sentences, combining multiple phrases or adding adjectives and adverbs. For instance, transform "I would like some water" into "I would really like some cold water, please." Encourage practice outside teaching sessions. Suggest learners use the phrases in daily life, such as greeting family members or ordering food. Practical application reinforces learning and makes English an active part of life. Observing or discussing their experiences also provides material for further teaching and reflection, reinforcing your understanding through real-world examples. Provide explanations for variations. For example, teach different ways to greet someone, such as hello, hi, or good morning, and explain the appropriate context for each. Awareness of variations enhances flexibility in usage and comprehension. Teaching these subtleties strengthens your ability to use English naturally and adaptively. Integrate repetition, creativity, and dialogue into a structured routine. Daily practice of teaching simple phrases ensures steady improvement in fluency, comprehension, and confidence. Each session reinforces vocabulary, pronunciation, sentence construction, and expressive ability. Over time, teaching transforms language learning into an active, enjoyable, and deeply effective practice that strengthens both personal mastery and the ability to communicate with others. Finally, teaching simple English phrases to someone else cultivates mastery through explanation, repetition, and contextual use. Every phrase you model, every correction you offer, and every dialogue you facilitate consolidates your knowledge and builds fluency. Chapter 14. Challenge yourself to think in English daily. Challenging yourself to think in English every day is one of the most powerful ways to accelerate language mastery and develop natural fluency. Thinking in English forces your mind to process ideas directly in the language rather than translating from your native tongue. This mental shift strengthens vocabulary recall, improves sentence structure, and increases confidence when speaking. It also reduces hesitation, allowing your brain to form responses quickly and naturally in real-life conversations. By integrating English into your thought process, you turn every moment into a learning opportunity, transforming your mind into an active language environment that continuously reinforces skills without conscious effort. Start by consciously labeling simple thoughts in English. Describe what you are doing, feeling, or observing using short sentences. For example, while drinking water, think "I am drinking water," or while walking, consider "I am walking to the park." These small but deliberate steps train your mind to express basic actions and states in English. Over time, simple thoughts naturally evolve into more complex sentences, strengthening your ability to articulate ideas clearly. Expand your internal dialogue. Gradually, once you are comfortable with basic sentences, describe situations, objects, or feelings in more detail. For instance, the sun is bright today, and the air feels cool instead of simply the sun is bright. This encourages the use of adjectives, adverbs, and connectors, enhancing your expressive range. Deliberately constructing richer sentences internally prepares your mind for fluent, natural conversations without translating from your native language. Practice thinking in English during routine activities. While cooking, cleaning, or commuting, narrate your actions mentally. For example, I am chopping vegetables carefully, or I am listening to music while walking. Daily routines provide constant opportunities for mental rehearsal, and this repetition gradually builds automaticity. By linking language practice to familiar tasks, thinking in English becomes habitual and effortless. Use problem-solving exercises to stimulate English thought. When faced with a decision or planning task, formulate your options and reasoning in English. For example, I need to choose between going for a walk or reading a book. Reading will help me relax, while walking will give me energy. Structuring thoughts in this way reinforces logical thinking, vocabulary use, and sentence formation. It also develops critical thinking skills directly in English, bridging the gap between language and cognition. Describe your surroundings in English. Observe objects, people, or events, and mentally articulate them using complete sentences. For instance, the cat is sitting on the windowsill, looking outside, or people are waiting at the bus stop patiently. This exercise improves descriptive ability, vocabulary retention, and attention to detail. Consistently analyzing your environment in English encourages active mental engagement and fluency development. Reflect on your emotions and experiences in English. When feeling happy, frustrated, or curious, articulate those emotions internally. For example, I feel excited because I finished my work early, or I am curious about how this new software works. Thinking about feelings in English helps link words to personal experience, enhancing emotional expression and practical usage. Emotional connection strengthens memory and makes language learning more meaningful. Ask yourself questions in English and answer them mentally. Use prompts such as, "What should I do next?" or "Why did this happen?" Answering internally requires you to process ideas and construct sentences actively. This practice mirrors real-life conversations and encourages rapid, flexible thinking in English. It also strengthens the habit of self-directed communication, which is crucial for independent fluency. Use mental storytelling as a tool. Create short stories or recount daily events in English in your mind. For example, today I went to the market. I saw fresh fruits and bought apples and oranges. The seller was friendly and smiled at me. Practice thinking in English before speaking. When preparing to converse, plan your sentences internally. Anticipate responses, structure ideas, and rehearse vocabulary in your mind. This reduces hesitation, improves clarity, and helps you communicate more confidently. Integrate English thinking into decision-making. Whenever choosing between options, reason in English. For instance, I will cook dinner now because it will save time before the meeting. Or I will call my friend later since she is busy now. Structuring this internally in English strengthens practical application, reinforces sentence formation, and links language learning to daily life. Expand vocabulary actively in thought. When thinking in English, challenge yourself to use newly learned words instead of familiar ones. For example, replace happy with delighted or angry with frustrated when describing emotions. Intentional use of diverse vocabulary improves word retention, strengthens expressive ability, and encourages precise communication. Gradually incorporating more sophisticated words trains your mind to think and express concepts with depth. Combine mental English thinking with visualization. Picture scenarios, objects or concepts in your mind and describe them internally in English. For example, imagine a garden and mentally narrate, "The flowers are blooming in bright colors. Bees are flying around collecting nectar." Visualization strengthens comprehension, reinforces descriptive vocabulary, and helps connect language to mental imagery, enhancing recall and expressive ability. Engage in hypothetical thinking. Pose what-if questions in English and mentally explore outcomes. For instance, what if I start a new hobby? How will it affect my daily routine? Hypothetical reasoning stimulates critical thinking, encourages complex sentence formation, and strengthens problem-solving skills in English. Regularly practicing hypothetical thought builds flexibility and cognitive agility while reinforcing language usage. Combine English thought with planning. Mentally organize your day, set goals, or schedule tasks using full English sentences. For example, I will study English from 9 to 10 a.m., then prepare lunch, and after that, I will review my notes. Structuring plans internally trains sequencing, time management, and coherent expression, all while reinforcing vocabulary and sentence construction. Daily planning in English develops practical fluency and self-directed learning. Practice internal dialogues. Simulate conversations in your mind with friends, colleagues, or fictional characters in English. For example, anticipate questions and formulate responses as if you were in a real interaction. Mental dialogues improve spontaneity, conversational skills, and confidence, providing a safe space to rehearse English without fear of mistakes. Over time, internal dialogues help bridge the gap between thought and spoken language. Monitor accuracy in thought. Pay attention to grammar, word choice, and sentence structure while thinking in English. Correct errors internally before speaking them aloud. This practice strengthens self-editing, reinforces correct language patterns, and reduces errors in real-life communication. Reflect on achievements daily. Mentally recount progress in vocabulary, fluency, and sentence formation. Recognizing improvement reinforces motivation, builds confidence, and strengthens commitment to consistent practice. Positive reinforcement in thought encourages persistence and resilience, making language learning a continuous and rewarding journey. Finally, thinking in English daily transforms language learning into a natural, continuous process that extends beyond formal study or practice sessions. Every thought, observation, reflection, and plan becomes an opportunity to engage actively with the language. Consistent internal practice strengthens fluency, confidence, comprehension, and expressive ability. Over time, thinking in English becomes second nature, allowing you to communicate spontaneously, naturally, and effectively in any real-life situation, while building a resilient, adaptable, and self-directed approach to lifelong language mastery. Chapter 15. Practice English by describing your daily routine. Practicing English by describing your daily routine is one of the most practical and effective methods to integrate language learning into your everyday life while developing fluency, vocabulary, and confidence. Daily routines are predictable and familiar, which makes them an ideal starting point for structured English practice. By articulating what you do every day, you connect language with actions, reinforcing memory and comprehension naturally. This exercise encourages consistency, allows repeated exposure to commonly used words and phrases, and strengthens the habit of thinking and speaking in English without external prompts. Begin by breaking down your day into simple activities. Start from the moment you wake up and describe each action in English. For example, I wake up at 6 in the morning. I brush my teeth and wash my face. Keeping sentences simple at first ensures accuracy and builds confidence. Repetition of these daily statements strengthens both recall and the ability to express yourself clearly. As familiarity increases, you can gradually add more details, making your descriptions richer and more complex. Include time-specific details to practice sequencing. State when and in what order you perform your activities. For instance, I have breakfast at 7. After breakfast, I read the news for 30 minutes. Time expressions like after, before, then, and next help structure sentences logically, allowing your mind to connect events in a coherent manner. Consistently using time references improves sentence flow and prepares you for more complex communication. Focus on descriptive language. Go beyond basic verbs and nouns by adding adjectives and adverbs to make your routine more vivid. For example, instead of saying, I eat breakfast, try, I eat a healthy breakfast quickly before leaving for work. Descriptive phrases expand vocabulary, enhance expressiveness, and make your language more engaging. Repeated practice in describing actions in detail strengthens your ability to communicate nuances effectively. Use present simple tense consistently. Daily routines are best described using the present simple, which reinforces grammatical accuracy and natural expression. For instance, I take a shower, then I prepare my lunch. Practicing routine activities regularly in this tense helps internalize grammatical patterns, making it easier to transition to other tenses when discussing plans, experiences, or habits. Practice both orally and in writing. Speak your routine aloud, record yourself, or write it down in a notebook or journal. Oral practice improves pronunciation, fluency, and confidence in speaking. Written practice reinforces spelling, sentence structure, and vocabulary. Combining speaking and writing ensures that your understanding of English is comprehensive and practical. Reviewing recordings or notes also helps identify areas for improvement, such as pronunciation errors or repetitive word choices. Include thoughts and feelings when describing your activities. Expressing emotions adds depth and naturalness to your sentences. For example, I feel energized after my morning walk, or I get frustrated when traffic is heavy. Linking language to personal experience makes English meaningful and memorable. This practice also enhances your ability to convey moods, opinions, and reflections in real-life conversations. Use variety in sentence structures. Avoid repeating the same simple format repeatedly. For instance, I wake up at 6 can become at 6 in the morning. I wake up and start my day feeling refreshed. Experimenting with sentence order, connectors, and descriptive clauses develops flexibility in expression and promotes advanced language skills. Diverse sentence structures improve fluency and make your speech more engaging. Practice dialogue-based routines. Imagine explaining your daily routine to a friend or classmate in English. For example, in the morning I usually have breakfast around 7. What about you? This simulated dialogue encourages interaction, anticipates questions, and practices conversational English. Preparing answers to common follow-up questions, like what do you do after work, strengthens spontaneous speech and social communication skills. Reflect on challenges in your routine in English. Identify difficult activities or moments and describe them using English. For example, I find it hard to wake up early, but I manage by setting an alarm. Discussing challenges encourages the use of problem-solving language, connectors, and descriptive vocabulary. It also makes your practice more realistic and personally relevant. Incorporate future and past tenses gradually. While present simple is suitable for most daily routines, occasionally reflect on past experiences or future plans. For instance, yesterday I worked late, so I skipped my evening walk, or tomorrow I will prepare a healthy breakfast. Practicing multiple tenses in context enhances versatility, allowing you to communicate about events beyond the immediate routine. Add comparisons and preferences. Describe your routine in terms of likes and dislikes, or changes over time. For example, I prefer morning walks to evening walks because I feel more energetic, or my breakfast today is healthier than yesterday. Using comparisons reinforces adjectives, conjunctions, and sentence variety while encouraging thoughtful reflection in English. Engage your senses in descriptions. Include what you see, hear, smell, taste, or feel while performing daily tasks. For example, I hear birds chirping during my walk, or the coffee smells strong and fresh. Sensory details enhance vocabulary, make descriptions more vivid, and train your mind to connect English with real-world experiences, reinforcing natural fluency. Review and refine your routine descriptions. Identify repetitive words, grammatical errors, or awkward phrasing, and improve them. For example, replace "I eat food" with "I enjoy a light breakfast." Deliberate refinement strengthens precision, promotes better vocabulary usage, and reinforces correct grammar. Regular self-review ensures steady improvement and deepens your understanding of English. Use your routine to practice functional language. Incorporate polite requests, reminders, or instructions in your descriptions. For example, I remind myself to drink water throughout the day, or I ask my family if they need help with breakfast. Functional language connects practice to real-life scenarios, improving practical communication and everyday usability. Challenge yourself to extend descriptions. Add specific details about timing, sequence, environment, or people involved. For instance, I walked to the park at 7:30, enjoying the cool morning breeze while greeting neighbors. Extended descriptions, exercise sentence construction, reinforce vocabulary, and develop narrative skills in English. Regularly pushing boundaries in detail builds expressive ability and fluency. Reflect on your accomplishments. Conclude each practice session by summarizing your routine, noting improvements, or highlighting achievements in English. For example, today I described all my activities without hesitation and used new vocabulary successfully. Reflection reinforces motivation, tracks progress, and fosters a sense of achievement, which strengthens the habit of consistent practice. Finally, practicing English by describing your daily routine transforms ordinary activities into continuous learning opportunities. Each moment becomes a chance to reinforce vocabulary, sentence structure, pronunciation, and fluency. Consistent, deliberate practice in narrating your routine helps internalize English patterns, enhances self-expression, and develops confidence for real-life conversations. Over time, the habit of describing daily life in English integrates the language seamlessly into thought and speech, making communication natural, effective, and instinctive in everyday situations. Chapter 16. Play English learning games on your phone daily. Playing English learning games on your phone every day is a highly effective way to strengthen language skills while making practice engaging, interactive, and consistent. Mobile games combine repetition, challenge, and reward, which help reinforce vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, and comprehension. Unlike traditional study methods, games create a dynamic environment where learning feels natural and enjoyable, encouraging sustained effort over time. Daily interaction with language through play transforms passive recognition into active recall, allowing your brain to process English in multiple ways while keeping motivation high. Consistent gaming practice not only improves skill, but also develops discipline, persistence, and confidence, which are essential for mastering any language. Start by selecting games that match your current skill level. Beginners should choose games with simple vocabulary, multiple choice questions, or matching exercises. Intermediate learners can explore apps that require sentence formation, listening comprehension, or time challenges. Advanced learners may prefer games focusing on complex grammar, idiomatic expressions, or creative writing. Choosing an appropriate level ensures that learning is challenging but achievable, which maintains engagement and encourages steady progress. Focus on daily consistency rather than the duration of play. Spending even 10 to 15 minutes every day produces better results than long, infrequent sessions. The brain retains information more effectively when exposed to repeated practice in short, focused intervals. Establish a routine where playing English learning games becomes part of your daily schedule, such as during commutes, breaks, or before bedtime. Regular exposure builds habits, reinforces memory, and gradually improves fluency and comprehension. Pay attention to vocabulary acquisition. Many games include word building, flashcards, or matching activities that introduce new words in context. Actively note unfamiliar words, their meanings and usage. Repeat them in sentences, either aloud or in writing, to embed them into long-term memory. Expanding vocabulary through games encourages practical usage, making it easier to recall words during conversations or writing exercises. Engage actively with grammar-focused games. Sentence formation challenges, error correction, or puzzle-based grammar exercises help internalize rules while maintaining interest. Identify patterns, test hypotheses about sentence structures, and apply learned rules in multiple contexts. Games provide immediate feedback, allowing you to correct mistakes, experiment with alternatives, and reinforce understanding. This interactive approach strengthens both accuracy and confidence. Use pronunciation and listening games to enhance oral skills. Apps often include speech recognition or audio exercises that require you to repeat phrases, words, or sentences. Pay attention to stress, intonation, and rhythm. Accurate repetition improves muscle memory, sharpens listening skills, and ensures that spoken English sounds natural. Listening to correct pronunciation repeatedly and matching it aloud builds confidence for real-life conversations and reduces hesitation. Incorporate competitive elements to boost motivation. Many apps include points, levels, streaks, or leaderboards that reward progress. Challenging yourself to achieve higher scores or maintain streaks creates excitement and encourages regular practice. Healthy competition motivates continuous improvement while turning language learning into a goal-oriented activity rather than a chore. Apply what you learn in real life. After encountering new words, phrases, or sentence structures in games, try to use them in daily conversations, texts, or journal entries. Reflect on mistakes and patterns. Most games provide feedback on incorrect answers or weaker areas. Analyze these errors to understand gaps in knowledge or comprehension. Spend additional time practicing challenging topics to reinforce understanding. Reflection turns mistakes into opportunities for targeted improvement and accelerates overall progress. Use storytelling or creative games to develop narrative skills. Some apps require players to construct short stories, dialogues, or responses using given prompts or vocabulary. Engaging in creative expression encourages sentence formation, logical sequencing, and expressive language use. These activities enhance fluency, deepen comprehension, and train your mind to think in English actively. Combine games with other learning strategies. For example, after completing a game session, write sentences using newly learned words, record yourself speaking, or explain grammar rules aloud. Integrating multiple skills ensures comprehensive development and strengthens connections between reading, writing, listening, and speaking. This holistic approach accelerates mastery while maintaining engagement. Track progress systematically. Note improvements in vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, and speed. Reviewing achievements provides motivation and insight into learning patterns. Identifying strengths and weaknesses allows you to focus on areas needing extra attention, making practice more strategic and effective. Consistent tracking transforms casual gaming into purposeful learning. Experiment with different types of games to diversify skills. Word puzzles, sentence-building challenges, listening quizzes, and interactive storytelling games each develop unique aspects of English proficiency. Exposure to varied activities prevents monotony, strengthens multiple cognitive pathways, and ensures that learning is well-rounded. A diversified approach improves adaptability and prepares you for diverse real-world communication situations. Challenge yourself to complete increasingly difficult levels. Gradually increasing difficulty pushes cognitive boundaries, strengthens memory, and enhances problem-solving skills in English. Overcoming progressively harder challenges reinforces persistence, adaptability, and mastery of complex structures, which builds confidence and fluency. Consistently pushing limits encourages continuous growth and prevents plateauing in language development. Collaborate with friends or online learners when possible. Multiplayer or cooperative games allow communication, negotiation, and explanation in English. Interacting with others in game-based contexts develops social communication skills, exposes you to varied expressions, and encourages practical usage. Collaboration transforms gaming into an immersive, interactive language practice session, blending fun with skill development. Integrate reflection after each session. After playing, summarize what you learned, which words or phrases stood out, and what skills improved. Record your reflections in a notebook or journal to track retention and identify patterns. Reflection ensures active engagement, reinforces learning, and strengthens the ability to apply knowledge independently. Use games to test real-world application. For example, after encountering vocabulary related to food, practice ordering in English, or after learning travel phrases, describe travel plans. Bridging game content with daily activities enhances practical comprehension, improves recall, and strengthens confidence in functional English use. Applying learned concepts beyond the game ensures that learning is integrated into life. Combine analytical and creative thinking. Many games require logical problem-solving, strategic planning, or imaginative sentence construction. Engaging both analytical and creative faculties in English strengthens cognitive flexibility, encourages varied expression, and improves comprehensive mastery of the language. Regularly exercising these skills enhances adaptability in conversations, writing, and comprehension. Finally, playing English learning games on your phone daily transforms learning into an engaging, interactive, and practical experience. It reinforces vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, and comprehension, while encouraging consistent practice, reflection, and application. Over time, the combination of challenge, repetition, creativity, and real-world integration builds confident, fluent, and natural English skills that seamlessly extend into everyday communication and personal growth. Chapter 17. Join free English-speaking clubs online weekly. Joining free English-speaking clubs online weekly is one of the most effective ways to develop fluency, confidence, and practical communication skills. These clubs provide a supportive environment where you can practice English with real people rather than alone, which accelerates learning and helps you overcome hesitation. Regular interaction allows you to experience authentic conversational dynamics, hear different accents, and adapt to spontaneous responses. Unlike solitary study, speaking clubs encourage immediate application of vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation in real-life contexts, reinforcing retention and improving comprehension. Weekly participation builds consistency, strengthens commitment, and creates a structured routine that transforms English learning into an ongoing, interactive process. Start by selecting clubs that match your skill level and interests. Beginners should look for groups focusing on basic conversations, pronunciation practice, and simple sentence structures. Intermediate and advanced learners can join discussion-based clubs, debate sessions, or storytelling groups to challenge comprehension and expressive skills. Aligning the club with your level ensures that you are comfortable but sufficiently challenged, which promotes learning without causing frustration. Prepare before each session. Review relevant vocabulary, phrases, or topics that may come up during discussions. Having a mental list of words or questions boosts confidence and allows you to participate actively. Preparation transforms nervousness into readiness, making it easier to contribute meaningfully and absorb new language naturally. Even a few minutes of review can make a significant difference in your ability to engage fully during the club session. Engage actively during conversations. Focus on listening carefully to other participants, responding thoughtfully, and asking questions when appropriate. Active participation reinforces comprehension, encourages critical thinking in English, and develops conversational flow. Avoid worrying about mistakes. The primary goal is communication. Each interaction is an opportunity to practice, receive feedback, and internalize correct patterns of speech. Practice reflection after each club session. Consider what went well, what challenges you faced, and what you want to improve. For example, note if you struggled with pronunciation, felt unsure about word choice, or hesitated when responding. Reflection encourages self-awareness, which is critical for targeted improvement and continuous growth. Setting small goals for the next session, such as using 5 new words correctly, maintains focus and progression. Use role-playing and simulated scenarios. Many clubs include exercises where participants act out daily situations, such as ordering food, giving directions, or introducing themselves. Practicing these real-life situations in a group setting builds confidence and prepares you for similar interactions outside the club. Role-playing encourages spontaneous speech and teaches you to think and respond quickly in English. Listen attentively to varied accents and speech patterns. Online clubs often attract participants from different countries, exposing you to diverse pronunciations and vocabulary. Adaptation to these differences improves listening comprehension, flexibility, and overall communication skills. Exposure to multiple accents also prepares you for international conversations, making English practical for real-world applications beyond your local environment. Ask questions to clarify meaning. When you do not understand a word, phrase, or concept, politely ask for explanation. Doing so ensures comprehension and encourages interaction. Asking questions also models active learning behavior, which often prompts others to explain clearly or provide examples. This practice reinforces learning and helps retain new words and expressions effectively. Use short sentences initially if you feel hesitant. Gradually extend your answers as confidence grows. Starting small reduces anxiety and ensures you participate consistently. Over time, your responses naturally become longer, richer, and more complex. Incremental growth in speech length strengthens fluency and develops confidence in expressing complete thoughts clearly. Incorporate humor and personal stories. Sharing anecdotes or experiences during discussions makes conversations more engaging and memorable. Personal storytelling encourages descriptive language, sequencing of ideas, and narrative skills. Stories also create emotional connections with listeners, reinforcing vocabulary and phrasing in meaningful contexts. Participating in storytelling exercises builds both confidence and expressive ability. Practice paraphrasing and summarizing. After listening to others speak, restate their ideas in your own words. This exercise strengthens comprehension, sentence formation, and vocabulary usage. Paraphrasing also critical thinking and the ability to communicate effectively even when precise words are forgotten. Regular practice of summarization prepares you to explain concepts clearly in real-life conversations. Record and review your speaking sessions when possible. Listening to your own voice allows you to identify pronunciation issues, repetitive phrases, or grammatical errors. Reviewing recordings provides a safe environment for self-correction and reflection. This practice ensures that learning is reinforced and mistakes are addressed constructively, leading to continuous improvement. Use club sessions to practice questions and answers. Asking questions encourages interaction, while answering demonstrates comprehension and expressive ability. Engaging in balanced dialogues strengthens conversational skills, ensures active participation, and prepares you for various real-life scenarios. Mastering both asking and responding builds confidence and improves overall communication. Set personal goals for each session. For example, aim to introduce yourself clearly, use 3 new words correctly, or participate in a full conversation for 5 minutes. Goals provide direction, measure progress, and encourage active engagement. Achieving small targets consistently builds motivation and reinforces the habit of deliberate practice. Observe and imitate effective speakers. Pay attention to pronunciation, intonation, sentence structure, and conversational strategies used by confident participants. Imitating effective techniques enhances your own speaking style and develops fluency naturally. Modeling successful communicators accelerates learning and demonstrates practical ways to improve communication skills. Integrate what you learn into daily life. After each session, use new words, expressions, and structures when speaking, texting, or journaling. Embrace mistakes as learning opportunities. Every mispronunciation, grammatical error, or hesitation is valuable feedback. Treat errors as chances to improve rather than setbacks. Regular participation in clubs normalizes mistakes and reduces fear of speaking, which is crucial for confidence and fluent communication. Over time, repeated practice builds resilience and mastery. Maintain consistency over time. Weekly participation ensures that skills develop steadily and naturally. Consistent exposure reinforces vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, and confidence. Establishing a routine of attending meetings creates accountability, builds discipline, and transforms English practice into a reliable part of your personal growth. Finally, joining free English speaking clubs online weekly transforms passive study into active, real-world communication. It allows you to interact with diverse speakers, receive immediate feedback, and apply English in practical, meaningful ways. Consistent participation strengthens fluency, confidence, and expressive ability, while building a mindset of continuous improvement. Over time, weekly engagement integrates English seamlessly into daily life, making communication natural, effective, and resilient in any situation. Chapter 18. Set daily goals to use 5 new English words. Setting daily goals to use 5 new English words is a highly effective strategy to expand vocabulary while ensuring consistent, practical application. Learning words without actively using them often results in forgetfulness, but committing to daily usage embeds new vocabulary into your memory and makes it functional in real-life situations. The goal of 5 words is manageable yet substantial enough to create meaningful progress, providing a balance between challenge and attainability. By focusing on consistent daily effort, you establish a habit of deliberate learning, which strengthens discipline, motivation, and self-confidence over time. Start by selecting 5 words each day that are relevant to your interests, work, or daily activities. Prioritize words that are practical, common, or versatile, ensuring that you will encounter opportunities to use them naturally. For instance, words related to emotions, actions, or objects in your environment are easier to practice and remember. Choosing words thoughtfully makes the learning process purposeful rather than arbitrary, allowing you to connect language directly to your life experiences. Write the words down and include their definitions, pronunciation, and example sentences. This step reinforces understanding and prepares you to use the words correctly in context. Writing activates cognitive processes that strengthen memory and retention. For example, if the word is curious, write, "I feel curious about new cultures," to contextualize its meaning. Including multiple examples increases flexibility in usage and ensures that words are not memorized superficially. Incorporate the words into your daily routine actively. Speak sentences aloud while performing routine tasks or narrating your actions. For instance, "I feel curious about the news today," while reading an article aloud. Speaking aloud reinforces pronunciation, boosts confidence, and links words to real experiences. Hearing yourself use the words repeatedly strengthens neural connections, making retrieval during conversation faster and more automatic. Practice incorporating words in conversations with friends, colleagues, or language partners. Intentional usage during dialogue makes learning interactive and meaningful. Asking questions or commenting using new words reinforces comprehension and fluency. For example, asking, "Are you curious about the new project?" integrates vocabulary naturally into communication. Repeated use in real-life interactions strengthens confidence and transforms passive knowledge into practical skill. Visualize scenarios where each word can be applied. Mental practice helps prepare for real-world usage and strengthens memory retention. Imagine describing feelings, experiences, or observations using the new words. For example, visualize walking in a park and saying, "I feel peaceful while enjoying the fresh air." Associating words with vivid mental images creates lasting impressions and deepens understanding of context and nuance. Use synonyms and antonyms to expand comprehension. Learning a word alongside related terms enriches vocabulary and enhances flexibility in expression. For example, if the word is curious, note synonyms like inquisitive or interested, and antonyms like indifferent. Exploring related words encourages variety in language and strengthens semantic networks, allowing you to communicate more precisely and effectively. Review and recycle words from previous days. Revisiting recently learned words ensures that they remain active in your vocabulary and prevents forgetting. Create sentences or mini-stories that integrate multiple new words together. This cumulative approach strengthens recall, encourages creative expression, and links vocabulary items meaningfully rather than in isolation. Consistent review transforms short-term learning into long-term retention. Practice using words in multiple contexts. Avoid limiting a word to one fixed sentence. Experiment with different scenarios to understand nuances and appropriate usage. For example, curious can describe personal feelings, someone else's behavior, or an interest in a topic. Flexibility in application improves conversational fluency and helps you adapt words to diverse situations naturally. Incorporate words into storytelling or mini dialogues. Create short narratives using the 5 words to develop fluency and narrative skills simultaneously. For instance, a simple story could involve describing a curious character exploring new experiences. Storytelling encourages sentence variety, sequencing of ideas, and expressive richness. Regular practice with storytelling ensures that vocabulary is embedded in practical communication, not just memorized superficially. Track your progress systematically. Maintain a notebook or digital log of daily words, sentences, and reflections. Note which words were easy, which required repetition, and which were most useful in conversation. Systematic tracking creates accountability, measures growth, and provides motivation to maintain daily practice. Reviewing progress visually reinforces the habit and highlights incremental achievements, encouraging perseverance. Combine verbal, written, and mental practice. Speaking aloud, writing in journals, and visualizing word application ensures multimodal reinforcement. Engaging multiple cognitive pathways accelerates learning, improves retention, and develops confidence across different communication contexts. Integrated practice bridges understanding and active use, making the words a natural part of your language repertoire. Use reflection to identify challenges. Evaluate which words were hardest to remember or use effectively, and dedicate additional practice to those. Reflection encourages problem-solving, self-awareness, and strategic learning. By understanding patterns in difficulty, you can tailor your approach, ensuring that learning is efficient, purposeful, and sustainable. Incorporate fun and creativity into daily goals. Turn usage into mini-games or challenges, such as creating rhymes, questions, or dialogues with the new words. Playful engagement increases motivation, reduces pressure, and reinforces retention. Enjoyable practice encourages consistency and ensures that vocabulary development becomes a rewarding part of daily life. Connect words to emotions and experiences. Relating vocabulary to personal feelings, opinions, or activities makes words meaningful and memorable. For example, curious becomes easier to retain when linked to real experiences of learning, exploring, or interacting with others. Emotional connection enhances memory and ensures that words are not abstract but tied to practical life situations. Finally, setting daily goals to use 5 new English words transforms language learning from passive recognition into active, functional skill. Consistent application, reflection, and creativity embed vocabulary into memory, develop fluency, and strengthen confidence. Over time, this disciplined approach creates a robust habit of learning, ensuring that your English becomes practical, expressive, and integrated seamlessly into daily life. Chapter 19. Practice English pronunciation with tongue twisters daily. Practicing English pronunciation with tongue twisters daily is a highly effective and engaging method to improve clarity, fluency, and confidence in speaking. Tongue twisters force precise articulation, strengthen the muscles involved in speech, and enhance coordination between breathing, vocalization, and tongue movement. By challenging the mouth to produce difficult sound combinations repeatedly, you develop better control over pronunciation, which translates directly into smoother, clearer, and more confident everyday speech. Daily practice ensures that these improvements are gradual, consistent, and long-lasting, turning a fun exercise into a practical tool for real-life communication. Start by selecting tongue twisters appropriate to your skill level. Beginners should focus on simple, short phrases that target common sounds that are difficult for them, such as "she sells seashells by the seashore," to practice the ses and sheesh sounds. Warm up before practicing. Begin with slow, deliberate pronunciation of individual words, focusing on enunciation and correct mouth positioning. Gradually increase speed as accuracy improves. Warming up primes the vocal cords and tongue muscles, reducing the likelihood of strain and allowing for more effective practice. Starting slowly ensures that correct pronunciation is internalized before attempting faster, more natural speech. Repeat tongue twisters aloud multiple times. Repetition reinforces neural pathways, strengthens memory and trains the mouth and vocal system for precision. Each repetition should focus on clarity rather than speed initially. Over time, increase speed without sacrificing accuracy. The combination of repetition and gradual acceleration develops muscle memory and prepares you for fluent, natural English speaking. Record yourself while practicing. Listening to your own pronunciation highlights mistakes, inconsistencies, and areas for improvement that may go unnoticed while speaking. Compare recordings over time to track progress and identify patterns that need attention. Recording transforms practice from subjective effort into measurable progress, enabling targeted corrections and enhancing self-awareness. Pay attention to problematic sounds. Identify specific consonants or vowels that are difficult for you and select tongue twisters that target these sounds repeatedly. For example, if th or r sounds are challenging, focus on tongue twisters emphasizing those phonemes. Targeted practice strengthens weak areas, improving overall clarity and ensuring that your speech is intelligible to listeners. Combine tongue twisters with breath control exercises. Proper breathing supports sustained speech and reduces tension while speaking quickly or under pressure. Inhale deeply before each repetition and exhale steadily while articulating the sounds. Controlled breathing ensures that pronunciation remains clear even at higher speeds, strengthens vocal endurance, and prevents fatigue during longer conversations or presentations. Incorporate facial and tongue exercises. Stretch your lips, tongue, and jaw gently before and during practice. Exercises such as moving the tongue in circles, opening the mouth wide, and enunciating exaggeratedly warm up muscles and improve flexibility. Stronger, more agile articulators result in precise pronunciation and improved ability to produce complex sounds effortlessly. Focus on rhythm and intonation. Tongue twisters are not just about individual sounds, they also train the natural cadence of English. Pay attention to stress patterns, pitch changes, and syllable timing while practicing. Proper rhythm enhances intelligibility, makes speech sound natural, and improves the ability to communicate confidently in everyday conversations. Use tongue twisters in different contexts. After mastering a phrase, incorporate it into sentences, dialogues, or storytelling. For example, if practicing red lorry, yellow lorry, construct a short narrative like, "Yesterday I drove a red lorry past a yellow lorry on the street." Applying sounds in meaningful contexts ensures that training transfers from isolated exercises to practical speech situations. Practice consistently at the same time each day. Consistency reinforces habit formation, strengthens neural connections, and maximizes retention. Even short daily sessions of 10 to 15 minutes produce significant improvement over time. Establishing a routine integrates pronunciation practice into your lifestyle, ensuring steady, reliable progress. Challenge yourself progressively. Increase the length, complexity, or speed of tongue twisters as your skill improves. Tackling progressively harder phrases strengthens concentration, agility, and accuracy in speech. Gradual escalation prevents stagnation, encourages continuous improvement, and develops resilience in mastering difficult pronunciations. Combine listening and imitation. Listen to native speakers, pronouncing the tongue twisters, and mimic their speed, stress, and intonation. Imitation reinforces correct pronunciation and exposes you to natural rhythm and flow. Accurate modeling builds awareness of subtle nuances in English sounds, allowing for more authentic and confident speech. Integrate tongue twisters with real-life conversation practice. Try to insert challenging sounds or difficult phrases into everyday speaking situations. For instance, if a word with "thith" appears in conversation, recall techniques from tongue twister practice to pronounce it clearly. This integration ensures that exercises are not isolated but contribute directly to practical language use. Reflect on progress regularly. Assess improvements in clarity, speed, and confidence. Identify persistent difficulties and focus future practice on those areas. Reflection promotes self-awareness, accountability, and strategic learning, ensuring that practice remains effective and goal-oriented. Teach or share tongue twisters with others. Explaining the exercise or practicing with a friend provides opportunities to articulate instructions clearly and demonstrates mastery. Teaching reinforces your own understanding and encourages engagement, social interaction, and further confidence in pronunciation skills. Use visualization techniques while practicing. Picture the shape of the mouth, tongue placement, or airflow required for each sound. Mental visualization complements physical repetition, enhances precision, and accelerates mastery. Combining cognitive focus with physical practice ensures that pronunciation improvements are deeply embedded and transferable to real-world communication. Incorporate tongue twisters into multimodal practice. Speak aloud while recording, write down the sentences, and mentally rehearse pronunciation. Using multiple modalities reinforces memory, builds cognitive links, and strengthens overall language processing. Multifaceted practice ensures that tongue twister training improves speaking, listening, and reading simultaneously. Maintain patience and persistence. Pronunciation improvement is gradual, requiring consistent effort, attention, and dedication. Do not become discouraged by slow progress or repeated mistakes. Daily commitment, combined with strategic practice, produces steady and measurable gains, ultimately resulting in confident, clear, and natural speech. Finally, practicing English pronunciation with tongue twisters daily transforms speaking ability, clarity, and confidence. It strengthens articulation, enhances rhythm, trains breath and vocal control, and develops the agility to produce complex sounds accurately. Over time, consistent engagement turns tongue twisters from challenging exercises into a natural extension of everyday communication, enabling fluent, confident, and precise English in all real-life situations. Chapter 20. Speak English confidently without fearing small mistakes. Speaking English confidently without fearing small mistakes is one of the most important steps toward becoming fluent and comfortable in real-life situations. Confidence in speaking does not mean perfection. It means having the courage to communicate your ideas clearly and effectively despite occasional errors. Small mistakes are natural and inevitable when learning a language, but they should never prevent you from expressing yourself. The more you practice speaking without fear, the faster your fluency, vocabulary, and overall communication skills will improve. Embracing imperfection allows you to focus on conveying meaning and connecting with others, which is the ultimate goal of language learning. Begin by shifting your mindset toward progress rather than perfection. Recognize that mistakes are a normal part of learning and that every error is an opportunity to improve. Each time you speak, you gain valuable experience in forming sentences, choosing words, and interacting with others. Viewing mistakes as learning tools rather than failures reduces anxiety and encourages more frequent, meaningful practice. This mental shift lays the foundation for confident communication. Start with small steps in controlled environments. Speak English in familiar, supportive settings, such as conversations with friends who understand your goals, online language partners, or small practice groups. Starting small reduces pressure and allows you to focus on expressing ideas without fear of judgment. Gradually expand to less familiar situations as your comfort level grows, reinforcing confidence through repeated exposure to different conversational contexts. Focus on communication over accuracy. The primary purpose of speaking is to convey meaning, not to produce perfect sentences. Prioritize expressing your ideas clearly, even if grammar or pronunciation is not flawless. Listeners will often understand the intended meaning even with minor errors. Shifting focus from perfection to clarity alleviates fear, encourages spontaneity, and improves overall fluency. Practice self-affirmation before speaking. Remind yourself that your voice matters and that speaking English is a skill you are developing. Positive reinforcement builds self-assurance and reduces anxiety. Internal encouragement can create a calm, focused mindset that enhances performance, enabling you to speak more freely and naturally. Use daily opportunities to speak in English. Narrate your actions, describe your surroundings, or summarize your day aloud. Consistent verbal practice builds muscle memory for sentence formation and strengthens confidence in spontaneous speech. Even talking to yourself in English improves fluency and trains your brain to think in the language without self-consciousness. Embrace mistakes publicly. Speaking in front of others may feel intimidating, but acknowledging that errors are part of learning normalizes the experience. When you make a small mistake, continue speaking without overcorrecting or apologizing excessively. This approach demonstrates resilience, helps you recover quickly, and allows conversations to flow naturally. Each experience strengthens your ability to handle real-life interactions with ease. Record yourself speaking and listen critically, but constructively. Identify patterns in mistakes without judgment, and plan specific areas for improvement. Self-assessment fosters awareness and growth while maintaining confidence. Recognizing progress alongside errors helps you appreciate your development, which motivates continued practice and reduces fear of speaking. Prepare useful phrases and vocabulary in advance. Having a mental toolkit of expressions for common situations reduces hesitation and boosts confidence. For example, knowing polite ways to ask questions, express opinions, or start conversations gives you a foundation to speak naturally while minimizing anxiety. Preparation enhances fluency without creating rigidity or dependence on memorized sentences. Participate in interactive activities where mistakes are expected. Online speaking clubs, discussion groups, or language challenges provide safe spaces to experiment with language. Observing others make mistakes reinforces the normalcy of errors and reduces self-consciousness. Engaging regularly in such settings builds resilience and confidence in handling real-world conversations. Practice self-compassion. Avoid harsh self-criticism when mistakes occur. Remind yourself that learning a language is a gradual process and that every effort contributes to improvement. Treat errors as information rather than judgment. This mindset encourages risk-taking, which is essential for growth and the development of fluency. Focus on listening actively to others while speaking. Understanding responses reduces the pressure of perfect expression and allows you to respond appropriately, even with imperfect language. Engaged listening improves comprehension, supports meaningful conversation, and provides context that guides your own speech. Interaction becomes a shared process rather than a performance judged solely on accuracy. Use visualization to boost confidence. Imagine yourself speaking clearly, responding naturally, and successfully conveying ideas despite minor mistakes. Visualizing positive outcomes prepares your mind for real scenarios, reduces anxiety, and promotes proactive engagement in conversation. Combining mental rehearsal with actual practice enhances fluency and confidence simultaneously. Reframe errors as learning signals. Each mistake highlights areas to focus on, whether it's pronunciation, grammar, word choice, or sentence structure. Instead of fearing errors, treat them as a roadmap for improvement. Engage in peer feedback. Ask supportive friends or language partners to provide gentle corrections while maintaining encouragement. Constructive feedback allows you to identify patterns and apply targeted adjustments without undermining confidence. Learning through collaborative practice strengthens both competence and self-assurance in communication. Practice improvisation exercises. Respond to random prompts, role-play spontaneous situations, or participate in question-and-answer games. Improvisation trains quick thinking, adaptability, and the ability to speak without overanalyzing. Developing this flexibility reduces fear of errors, enabling you to converse naturally and handle unexpected situations confidently. Celebrate small achievements. Recognize moments when you communicate effectively, use new vocabulary correctly, or express ideas fluently despite minor errors. Celebrating progress reinforces positive behavior, motivates continued effort, and strengthens the belief that you are capable of speaking confidently. Regular acknowledgement of accomplishment sustains momentum and nurtures self-esteem. Integrate speaking practice into daily life. Speak in English when ordering food, shopping, giving directions, or interacting with colleagues. Applying skills in practical contexts ensures that learning is functional and relevant. Real-life application builds confidence by demonstrating that language can be used successfully, even with occasional mistakes. Reflect after conversations. Consider what went well, which words or phrases were effective, and which areas need improvement. Reflection allows for targeted learning while maintaining awareness of progress. Balanced reflection prevents fixation on errors and promotes a growth mindset focused on continuous improvement. Maintain consistency over time. Daily speaking practice reinforces skills, strengthens neural connections, and normalizes the experience of making mistakes. Regular engagement reduces anxiety, accelerates fluency, and ensures that confidence becomes habitual rather than situational. Consistency transforms occasional courage into a reliable, enduring ability to communicate effectively. Finally, speaking English confidently without fearing small mistakes empowers you to communicate naturally, express ideas clearly, and engage fully in conversations. Accepting imperfection, practicing regularly, reflecting constructively, and applying language in real situations transforms learning into action. Over time, fear diminishes, fluency increases, and speaking becomes a source of personal growth, self-expression, and genuine connection with others in any context.